Hello everyone, welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today we're going to be doing all sorts. We're going to be talking about the new reveals, talking about the new announcements, doing a bunch of speculation, because that's what we do here. We basically just kind of yap about stuff that we know about from the future, just because we play Rush physically. Physically is also a very loose term. We play the physical game digitally on an emulator. That's basically the same thing. But the plan is to go over what we know, talk about what this could mean, what this potentially means for cards that could be coming out. Just basically a good yapping time. And then once we finish doing all that, we will be playing some speed. But I don't know how much time we're going to have at the end. We might have a lot of time. We might not. It depends how much we just kind of ramble about stuff coming out, I guess. We'll have to see where this takes us. But let's see who we have in the chat. We have Ninjetti Ursus, who is rushing. We have Gunkin Susip Shari, Ancient Gear, Golem incoming. Time to pound. We've got Grand Harrier, who was here first, and apparently before Dragson, but Dragson doesn't seem to agree, so hello Grand and hello Dragson. The Dr. Alex is in the house. Ancient Gear, Golem, Pog. I mean, everyone. Right, I'm sorry. If you don't think Ancient Gear Golem is a cool card, there's something wrong with you, right? Ancient Gear Golem is such a cool card. It's iconic. It was like one of the first cards back from GX. Even in the opening to GX, when you see it like just towering over Crowler and Jaden has to like stare it down. So iconic for Yu-Gi-Oh! So good. I know a lot of people tend to like be like, oh, if it's not from DM, it's not really iconic. It's like, nah, you're whack. It's a lot of the GX archetypes are like so integral to like my childhood, and I absolutely adore them. We have Pro Manicist, who is in here spamming the love emote because he is just that much love to give. Welcome. We have Corey. Hey, I arrived early for once. Welcome on in. We have alright, this is a new one. Urkarina. Is that it? Is it just Urkarina? Or is it Arena? We're gonna go with Urkarina. Welcome on in. Drags in with the hello. We have... Is anyone else in here? Kim Friend is here. My main account, Fluffle Full Power. I don't know about that, Kim Friend. As much as I want to play the main account, it's... It's looking likely, based on the announcement, and based on what Brad has been saying. Bearing in mind, I'm not constantly like stalking Brad and finding out whatever he's posting on every single Discord, but he seems to believe that both the boxes we're getting are going to be Rush, was the last I heard. So if that's true, I need all the gems I can get, and that terrifies me. I almost actually hope it's one Rush, one speed, because one, new speed content's always great. Two, the people that don't like Rush will just complain if we get two Rush boxes and they don't get a speed box, right? And I just don't want the like uncalled for hate. So like it's one of those weird things where I kind of hope. Yo Tomato, hello Vanity, welcome. I can't believe they're releasing full powered Elemental Hero as a free structure deck. Alright, I know we're capping, but I do think one of the structure decks could be Elemental Hero. We've actually queued up some Elemental Hero cards to talk about because there is potential that is actually one of the structures, and I am actually really excited for that if they do that, because it would mean we'd get a skill to make it even more playable, which I think would be really cool. Wait, speed structure deck. So we don't know anything. Everything's kind of up in the air, right? We know, I believe, the only thing's like 110% confirmed is there are two boxes, there are two structure decks. We think they're all for Rush, but they could not be. I do not believe this has been confirmed as of yet. That's a G. Tomato Stalks Brad confirmed. It's one of those things where I'm in so many Discords that Brad is also in, that I'll just like be flicking through the different like Rush Duel Discords, and it'll be like, oh, there's a Brad message. Oh, there's a Brad message. Oh, there's a Brad message. So like, it's one of those weird ones where I do just kind of get a lot of like this secondhand information. Respectfully, it's a Rush World release. Screw the speed players for a month. Ah, poor speed players. No. So, right. I have an older brother. And my older brother is 1 year older than me. And so because of that, obviously we were quite close in age. Whenever it would be like one person's birthday, or I guess it would just be birthdays. I don't think it really was relevant to this. But whenever it would be one of our birthdays, the other one would get something small because otherwise they'd get very jealous because you know what kids are like, right? So it would be like, oh, you know, it's my brother's birthday. Here you go. Here's all the main stuff. And then it'll be like, oh, little tomato, here you go. Here's like something very small just to kind of keep you happy. And I think the same thing should happen in Duel Links, you know? When we get something really, really cool, we get the main present, the speed player should get a little present. And whenever the speed players get the main present, we should get a little present. You know, that's just... is he taller than you? No, he is not taller than me. If it is 2 rush boxes, I wonder how the bundles will work. So packs from the main rush box. Yeah, it's very weird. I don't... So, alright. If it is 2 rush boxes, surely it has to be like an actual box, like a super mini, or main. And then the other one would be like a selection or a deck build. But even deck build is a bit weird. So I almost think it would be a selection if it is 2 rush. Also, welcome on in Dr. Tonberry. Also, that's a beautiful name. Let them complain. Both Banlist and KC ranking tomorrow. Are we... Is that cope, or is that like we've actually had that like confirmed, Kim? Because I'd really like to see the new Banlist. I'm really excited for it. Brad said it's both Bocked Rush and both Structured X Rush, but the wording didn't say if it's all new or just the latest release. Yeah, it's a weird one. I've seen more, because like I think Brad said on Twitter that it seems to be 2 new ones, but I've seen him also post on Discord saying that the Japanese translation was the other, and so now I'm like, which is the more up-to-date information? You know? Also, hello, Duan. Welcome on in. Release, they got DM in chronically rare. That's enough. I mean, if we are, I really hope that we in Rush also get these new rarities. Like an Overrush rare with like Shatterfoil art probably looks incredible. If we don't get that, I think the only reason would be so that they can give it to us later and make another big deal out of it, like almost artificially create excitement for something. And I guess they'd have people asking for it. And I guess if you've got people asking for that, maybe they won't be asking for other things in the polls, like, you know, all the goofy shit people put in those polls, or you know, all the actual shit people want. They can have blue eyes or DM alt art. That's what speed players like, right? I mean, alt arts are cool, right? And they've had bundles where you can pick what you pull from, speed or rush. Okay. Is that like the ones where it's just like 7 packs or something, rather than like ones that have like a card attached to them? A fusion deck build is what I've been saying the whole time. We'll have to see. Griffin Blaze, welcome on in. Hello. Likely soon, yes, tomorrow or next. Ooh. I mean, that is exciting, right? I think a new speed list. Obviously, this is exciting Rush Day, but we are going to get a little bit derailed and talk about speed for a bit. I have so many like wishes I want for the speed list, which is weird because I don't play speed that much. And obviously anything I do want changed is obviously going to be through the lens of someone that only one-tricks one deck. So I almost don't want my changes to happen because then that's probably bad for the game overall. It just helps me. So like, a Banlist are fun, even if you don't play the format. The OCG list was fun to see, for example. Yeah, just seeing Max C being semied is like, it's so strange. Like, it's just one of those things that's just felt like it was going to just exist forever. So that was a very strange one. Hello, Tomato. Hello, Is Life. Welcome on in. But, shall we jump into some stuff? Shall we talk about the actual stuff with the information in front of us? I think that's probably a good place to go. So we have the Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush World Release campaign announced. Konami have officially announced some of their planned rewards to celebrate the release of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush World Chronicle cards and the new home UI on October 1st, including the confirmation of multiple boxes and structure decks, as well as the early release of Ancient Gear Golem before the physical Rush Duel format. Now that's huge, right? I believe this is the first real card, because Duel Links has, to my knowledge, made like Duel Links exclusive cards that have eventually become real cards. But I think, I could be, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time a card that is an actual card is being put into the game before it's released physically. So that's interesting. Scepter 3, Cobalt 3, Tyrant Band, and Bish Band is fine for speed. It's a weird one. I would like to see Boral and Sky Striker get a hit, if I'm honest. Not like a heavy-handed hit, but just something. I feel like some of these decks have just been around for like too long, and they're starting to outstay their welcome a little bit. In the same way that I would almost like to see like Cyburst and Machine get another hit in Rush, because they've just been around for too long. Just go away. Let us play with other stuff. Come back later when you get more support, you know? Last one I can remember was Super Heavy Samurai Wagon or whatever. Came out like a month early. Ah, okay. Okay. Because I did play Super Heavy Samurai in Duel Links. It wasn't like... I don't think it was ever like a properly competitive strategy, but you could direct attack your opponent for 4,000 damage, and going first, you could put like gloves in the grave and like stop an attack, and that was kind of it. But the deck was fun. I've always really liked Super Heavy Samurai ever since I saw them in the anime. Not enough, they need to hit Striker. Yeah, I agree with Dwan personally. This is just based on what I've experienced, which isn't as much as the average speed player. It's a weird one. I feel like... Right, so birds are another weird one. Birds have some really bad matchups, and there are some very deliberate techs. I don't want to say specific, but there are some very deliberate techs that can hurt birds. But for the health of the game, birds shit on almost every single rogue deck. And people playing ladder, I think, are the people that Konami should be catering towards the most, because that's most of their player base. So I think just for that reason, bring the hammer down on the birds, right? I think that's the most annoying deck. Then you've got decks like... God, why did the names all escape me now? Stick Chair. What's that deck called? What is Stick Chair called? I've already forgotten what the name is. That deck is... the skill, I think, does a little bit too much. Scales, giving you all those draws, is a little bit nutty. Having access to like such a powerful rank 4 toolbox. I don't know. I think that deck, I've heard a lot of people say that it's like brain dead, and it's like the new glue deck. And I haven't played it myself, so I don't want to comment on it. Sarah, thank you, CZ. I can't comment on it myself from like a player perspective, but it seems very strong. It seems to almost always do its thing. Like, it's one of those things as well where I play Fluffle, right? I accept my deck is a rogue deck. It is not a hyper-competitive deck. It is at the very highest low rogue, probably. It can still perform. It can still take games off the top decks. It still does okay. Is it ever going to be like winning these big tournaments? Probably not. Is it ever going to crawl back up into the meta? Without some big changes? Probably not. The biggest issue I do find with that deck, for me personally, is that you can just open hands that don't do anything. I feel like some of the other decks in the game just don't have that. Like, when you play, like, birds, for example, you have a skill that just lets you set up whatever you want, right? All you need to do is have a bird in hand, and then it's like, reveal a bird, search your deck for a bird, send a bird to the graveyard, then you can special summon a bird, special summon the bird from the graveyard, use the original one, normal summon that, and then, like, you've automatically got what you want. You can then overlay into... Oh, I can't remember the names of them, but, like, there's the one that lets you search another bird from your deck, and then you could use that to special summon itself, and you just keep going and going and going and going and going, and I'm just like... I think the only way that Lyrilusk actually bricks is if you open 0 Lyrilusk cards. Like, you have to actively draw, like, 4 spell cards to brick in that deck. Otherwise, I just feel like you always have the combo going. right? Even if it's not perfect, it's not the God Hand, I think it's still just amazingly good to go, right? And I think the same thing with Seraphs. It's hard to brick, right? Because the skill just says, oh, you got like one card. Yeah, go off, King. You've got this. Whereas a lot of other decks don't have that luxury where they have to draw like multiple combo pieces. You don't usually get these like one-card starters. And I feel like we're now getting to a point where if you don't have a deck that has a skill or just a card that is a one-card starter, it's starting to like become bad. And I don't know if I like that personally, but again, that's just my very biased, fluffle, like pilled opinion, right? But let's catch up with some of these comments. All right, let's get that out of the way as well. Where were we? Chaos Femboy needs to be limited. Yes! Promanicus preaches. Chaos Femtron needs to go away. Chaos Femtron is too good. On its own, it made Cyberse a viable strategy, and I think that is kind of spooky. My first cog was with Super Heavy Samurai. Oh, my first cog was with dinosaurs. I used Dinosaur Kingdom to put Jurassic World in play. I would then summon 1600 attack dinosaurs and Crawler Dragon and Twin-Headed King Rex and get them up to 1900 attack, and then I would attack over my opponent's monsters. That was the depth of strategy when I started playing Duel Links. And I loved it. So what are the odds of more Ancient Gear than just Golem? So, right. Let's talk about that briefly for a sec. Ancient Gear, I have been following for quite a long time. I play character draft with the Dr. Alex, and in that, I have drafted the machines, basically. So anytime new machine stuff comes out, it basically is mine. So I'm always really excited about looking at machine cards in general. On top of the fact, I just like Ancient Gear. I've always loved Ancient Gear since GX came out. So I've been very, very excited for these cards. And they spoiled the art early, and we got to see an Ancient Gear dinosaur. And I'm like, all of my dreams are coming true. This is amazing. But as we've seen all of the Ancient Gear cards get announced, they've all been a bit crap. Like, they've all been kind of underwhelming for the power level of the physical game in 2024. So I was actually thinking, as we were seeing these cards, this is not going to be very good in character draft. But this could be good in Duel Links. So I actually think there is a non-0% chance that a lot of those cards do come out in Duel Links. I think it's not necessarily likely, but I like to think a lot of those cards are weak enough that they could come out now and just be fine, right? Especially if you don't give them like a super busted skill, but you give them like a skill that's just good enough. I think one of the two structure decks that we're predicted to be getting could be an Ancient Gear structure, and we will talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Let's catch up with the rest of these lovely, lovely messages. We have Heart Ancient Gear. Is this for real? Anyway, and it is, by the way, Des. Anyway, Tomato, yesterday I asked Mono which side OCG Rush project has the most value in Rush history for both 7th and Go Rush era, because yesterday we talked about Overrush rare values, and we saw that Dark Magician and Heroes hold a huge value over 200 yen plus. That's not too surprising, right? It's always going to be the... rather than like necessarily the competitive cards, it'll always be the fan cards, right? The what's the word I'm looking for? Like the legacy cards, the nostalgia bait, right? That's always going to be it. Trap Hole Bundle does make sense with Ancient Gear Golem coming. I mean, in general, I think it just made sense already. Droplet needs to be more readily available or stop balancing around it. Yes, this has to be a thing. Just release Droplet in a box. Like, having it selection box locked is so silly. I hate that that is even a thing that happens in Duel Links. I actually despise that personally. Bluffle eats Star Seraph alive. Seraph is good, but because it's not got many limits, they just need to limit 1 Deltaros and Utopia, so you can't play both. Limit 3 Scepter. Keep coping. It's one of those things where some of these, like, roguer decks do have quite good matchups into some of the meta, but that's why they're rogue, right? Because they... oh, I beat this one deck really, really well, and I lose to everything else. And I think there's a lot of decks that do kind of fall into that category. A 15 streak from Monosync. Also, welcome on in, Monosync. Hope you're having a lovely day. New book should be for rogue decks. Meta shouldn't be able to use it. So you want to just like slap the limit 3, then I take it? You can brick on birds when you don't have any that special summon, but that's really rare. Okay. Because you... Although, does that even matter? Because can't you just use the skill, search one that can special summon, and then dump one into graveyard, and then special summon, use the normal summon on the other one, and then... I mean, I guess it depends on what the normal summon is. Ugh. Again, I don't really play birds, so I'm not really well-versed in the deck. A truly prehistoric cog. Exactly! Also, welcome on in Rused? Ra. Welcome on in, Ra. Mine was with Xyz's Contract Fusions, lol. We got 7 monsters, 1 spell, 1 trap so far, with 3 more cards to get announced, monsters and spells for Ancient Gears. Yes! So far, the trap card and Ancient Gear Golem itself, in my opinion, are the only 2 good ones. The rest of them are fine. They're not good, right? Like, I think Ancient Gear Tyranno is fine. I don't think it's good. I wonder if we're getting Golem, because Yuhi will have skills that stay Earth Machine specifically, and they wouldn't have access to a legend. I mean... yeah? I mean, that makes sense, right? The one thing I get a little bit worried about is we're going to have a lot of things that are going to work with Earth Machines, and a lot of things that are going to work with Light Machines. And what about the other machines? What about, like, Barrel Dragon? What about the Dark Machines? Are they just going to get no skills at all, right? It's going to be a bit weird. Maybe he was hoping we'd get more Harpy maximum copies, to be honest. So, it's already a little bit spooky that we're getting Avian Spell Tactics to 3, and that could potentially make the Harpy maximum become more playable. The issue is, I think people don't understand how good that maximum is if you get it out. Right? In some situations, it's going to do nothing, right? Oh, you summon it out, it doesn't even have piercing, your opponent's monsters are in defense mode, your opponent doesn't have 3 monsters out, etc, etc. There's all these different use cases where it doesn't do anything. But, like, there are some decks that will just genuinely struggle to out it. Like, a big one for me is Royal Rebels. Rebels typically will not play Tribute to the Doomed or Talismanic Seal Array. So if your opponent slaps down their maximum, you don't have an out. You physically, like, the game is over. You cannot out this maximum. It hard counters that deck. And there will be other... like, that's quite an extreme example, but there will be other things like that, where a monster that has protection from monster destruction and trap destruction is actually really sticky. So I don't know if I want more Harpy max pieces, I guess, is my point. Lyralist skill doesn't search. Does it? Wait. No, it is, surely it's... I'm sure it searches, right? It was like Lyralisk Bird Call or something. Bird Humming. Deck to the grave. Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, you're right. It just sends it from the deck to the graveyard. I mean, it kind of searches, right? If your opponent... I mean, you can't do it on turn 1. But if your opponent controls a monster, send a monster from your field to the graveyard. I mean... and then it goes to the field. So it kind of does. But yeah, it's not as busted as I thought it was. Now, I wonder if we are crafting for Go Rush cards like the new Chronicle Prismatic for Rush format in the future. I doubt it. I think that's a bit cope, personally. Other machines need to unionize. I mean, I like what you've done there. Maybe they should. If not on Earth or Light, you are dead to us. Dark Machine, when we get Jinzo, also playable character. Oh, Jinzo playable. One of these days. It's not just that. You go aggro with 3 monsters, they slap down Harpy maximum, and it lethals. Yeah, exactly. When it came out physically, it was a really strong deck. But again, we did have a few other support monsters. We did have the equip spell. But it was already very, very, very strong. Then it kind of fell out of the meta a little bit, and then we gave it a little bit more support, and it became the best deck in the game again. Harpies is one of those decks where if you give it an inch, it will take a mile, right? It's already been, arguably, for a short period of time, was the best deck in Duel Links. So, like, do we need to give Harpy all this extra support? It's already been the best deck. it will probably be the best deck in the future. Do we need to keep giving it more chances to be the best deck? I don't think so personally. Harpy have like 0 support so far, and we are still good. Konami needs to be really careful with their support because it's really good. Yeah, basically that. We have offensive options to deal with Max/Fusion. We need more defensive to live through them. I think this is a good point you bring up, Managist. In card games in general, and especially digital card games, typically, developers like to avoid having defensive options because, one, having a lot of interaction can cause games to go a bit slower, right? Because it's like, do you want to interact? Do you want to interact? Do you want to interact, right? And there were some card games in the past that have had problems with this. Now, to be fair, I think Duel Links does handle this quite well. But it is rather telling that Konami has decided to not give us a lot of trap cards in Rush already, which tells me they don't want us to have many defensive options, right? There's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players who'll give Harpies an inch. But yeah, it's a weird one. I think in general, we just want more defensive options, period, right? Against maximums, that's especially good because it will stop you from losing, right? It's like if your opponent drops a turn 1 Yggdrago and you just don't have the out, you could just be dead just immediately, right? Like, they summon it out, like let's say you go first, right? And you just play your board, you have no out to Yggdrago. Their turn, they turn 1 or turn 2 Yggdrago. They get in for 3,000 damage. Now you have 5 draws, assuming you managed to empty your entire hand, to find a TSA that you can turn on, or a Tribute to the Doomed, or the game is probably just over, right? That sucks, right? That should never be the case, and that is a thing that happens quite regularly in Rush. So I personally would just like to see more defensive options. The main reason we got Trap Noodles as a deck, the reason it exists, is because players didn't want to deal with maximums running into them, and they wanted to play trap cards that could stop them from just dying to things like Overlord, because Overlord was very, very big in the meta when Trap Noodles came to its prime. So basically, it was like, how do we stop dying to Overlord? Well, we're going to use King's Majesty. We're going to use Earthbound, right? We're going to put all these cards in that just stop us from dying to this. And then it turns out those cards are actually quite good against everything. So everyone just played all of them, right? And then it became a thing. Cocytus is a good example of a defensive card that's still banned. Yeah, it's a weird one. Like, we've only just gotten Book of Eclipse, which, again, was a common card released in the Synchro era originally. Konami very deliberately gave it to us very, very late. Another example of this would be, like, Needle Sealing. Needle Sealing was a common card in the 4th or 5th. I forget which one. It was Pharaonic Guardian, whichever set that was, whichever number that was. It was very, very early in Yu-Gi-Oh! It was a common. But we got that so late by comparison because Konami wanted to have a lot of control over what our defensive options were, right? How we can interrupt our opponent's plays. I personally would like to see more traps come out because I think, for me, one of the most fun metas we actually had, ironically, was a meta where we didn't have very much diversity. And that was when we had the Paku Paku Chu aggro meta. When people were playing, like, Ancient Arise Dragon with Dragius and Paku Paku Chu, and then people were playing the Barrier, and the whole point was that you'd have to think about your attack orders, you'd have to try and play around certain things. Oh, okay, I'm going to use Ancient Arise now because it will protect Dragius if my opponent has, for example, a Widespread Ruin, so I want to make sure I have a 3,000 attack monster so that my Dragius doesn't get popped. You had to really think when you attack into monsters, okay, do I lose to the Barrier here? I need to, like, feel out my opponent's trap cards, so when I attack with certain cards, is there a delay? And then that will tell me, okay, this could be a Barrier. And there was just a lot of interaction. And I feel like a lot of that is gone. Now, it feels more like, did your opponent draw their negate attack, their widespread, their slime? If they didn't, you're good to go. If they did, I guess you get fucked, right? I don't know. Yes, that was a good meta in hindsight. It's a weird one because I think at the time, a lot of people didn't like it because it was like, oh, there's only really like one deck. I mean, there were other decks, but they were worse by comparison, right? But I think just having interaction is cool. And I think we just need more trap cards. I don't think the game necessarily needs to be trap cards the game, but I think especially like the type-specific trap cards, I would like to see them come out, especially since some of the trap cards are integral for the decks to actually do what they want to do. Like Plants is a big one where their fusion monsters all like interact with their trap cards, so we need their trap cards to come out so we can have the fusions. I don't know how much of the TCG meta, but I really want to try Jinzo in Duel Links. Yes, Jinzo is very, very strong. Jinzo is arguably the strongest deck right now in the physical game. So we'll have to see when that actually decides to come out. When we start getting combo piles like Potter as your main combo engine. When did we start getting combo piles like Potter as your main combo engine? I need to break this down. When did we start getting combo piles like the Potter? So I know Progress Potter. I know that is a combo pile. My main combo engine. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've ever actually played Progress Potter in anything. Maybe I probably have at some point. I don't know if I've ever actually played it myself. I think Progress Potter is probably a card that Konami will just avoid like the plague and just try not to release into Duel Links. Maybe ever. Because it's problematic, right? Hello, Mr. Tomato. Are you hyped for the new Ancient Gear? Fun. Yes, I am, Sakadetsu. Welcome, welcome on in. Ancient Gears, as we've been saying before, is one of my favorite archetypes of all time. And we've just been hit with an ad break. So I guess anyone that's currently not having an ad break, congratulations, you have dodged the ads. But we will wait for everyone else to get back. Otherwise, our ramblings are just going to be repeated and people are like, oh, I didn't catch that. But I'll just have a nice little bit of coffee. Alright, well, let us talk about this stuff, I guess. We have the announce rewards, as we keep getting just derailed, even though it's all kind of feeding back into the same thing. We're getting what? We're getting Ancient Gear Golem. This is cool. So, where's the ad? Exactly. He means, in general, when did Rush start getting cards that were used in all decks as an engine? Like, what was the first wave of this needs to be in everything, like Legend Magician or something? I mean, you could make arguments for, like, you know, Dark Revelation in the starter decks. That was kind of in everything for the longest time. There was also... I mean, we made an entire video talking about staples. And for the most part, those were used in just about everything, like Siesta Torero, Sea Dragon Knight. There are so many. In terms of, like, combo engines, it's kind of always just been Potter, right? Potter was, like, the original, okay, this is just a thing that goes in, and we're going to put in, like, a bunch of cards around it to facilitate it doing its thing and its whole looping. But I think they wanted, or Konami wanted to avoid loops as much as possible, because they do create weird... polarizing games. Give me Legend Archetype. No, Corey, no. Well done. There was no ad, and then you said that, and then boom, you're the kid that reminds the teacher we have homework. You got my ad. Give it back. And now 7 treasure, I guess. Yeah, 7. It's a weird one because again we've just had a Rush Duel ban list in the physical game. We've just seen all the best decks get hit. So we'll have to see where the meta goes there. It'll be interesting to see. Have you done your Rush games for tickets? I don't think so. I don't think I've done any of that yet, actually. We'll have to look into that. We haven't really done much. We just kind of got our auto duels done today. But we have this. We've got a new mat with the Duel Links logo slapped on it, covering Yugi's armpit because we're not allowed to see Yugi's armpit. This is too hot. It's too much. It's too much of a scandal. It's also Prime Dwarf I saw in many decks plus the fusion. No, we're not bringing Prime Dwarf. We're not bringing it out in Duel Links. I'm telling you that right now. No. Golem has the highest defense in the game at the moment. Yes, 3,000 defense is, I suppose, the highest before this for us would have been 2,500 on Blue Eyes and Egg Elephant and the other Blue Eyes, I guess, and Yami Ruler. The highest you could reasonably get to would have been 27 with a field spell. So now this is like the new highest, right? Wait, did ancient Egyptians shave their armpits? Yeah. Ancient Egyptians did, and you can't see it, but also Valgyrians, the aliens, also do the exact same thing. But yeah, we're getting a bunch of rewards. Rewards are cool. I mean, who doesn't like free stuff, right? 3k means SS doesn't work on it. Need TSA or Tribute to the Doomed. Yes, Shield and Sword, unfortunately, will not work, but it's one of those things where I wonder how many people would actually just play this just in their deck, just as like a 3k guy, double Tribute, Pierce, can't be specialed. Because the can't be special doesn't really matter right now. There aren't really a ton of ways to special summon anyway, right? I can't wait for the anime to bring another sequel after Go Rush, like the anime is indicating a new Rush World premiere. I mean, oh yeah. I also forgot Cyber Dragons could play Golem. Yes, that is a big one because it's not level 7. If the skill allows it. I mean, it's one of those weird ones where a lot of decks already struggle with the number of boss monsters that are in their decks. So adding in another one can be problematic, I guess. We know where I'm playing it. Oh yeah, I know you've already been cooking something up. But 10 packs, 1 ultra rare piece. So this is a thing where on the Japanese one it said card instead of piece. This to me is probably, if pieces is a thing, right? Assuming this is the wrong word was put in, but it is still terminology used internally. I would assume it's part of the new rarities, right? The new like Chronicle rare stuff. And you need pieces to upgrade them. That would be like, I saw some people saying, oh, it'll be, they're putting crafting in Duel Links. And I'm like, no, I think it's just going to be like, you collect pieces, then you upgrade your cards into like the different rarities. That's what I think personally. I'm glad Go Rush is coming. I've been a bit burned. Ow! Hello, RPG Prince. Yeah, this meta has been going on for quite a long time. I don't like dislike this meta, but we do very clearly have 4 decks that are the best, and we even saw that at Worlds. And I would kind of like there to be different decks, especially since 3 of those decks have been around forever. So it's only really like 1 new deck that's actually really performing, and then like there were like 3 other decks that have done well, but they're still not really up the level of those other 4, right? The speed tickets make me happy. I can finally finish my Crusadia deck, missing the 3rd Dragon and missing World Legacy Succession. Nice, nice. I actually did play against a couple of Crusadia decks on my climb through KC Cup, which was interesting. I beat them both very easily, though, so I don't know how strong that deck actually is. And also, one of my opponents did something very weird. They made an Equimax, but they made it using my up arrow. Like, they put it there, which meant they didn't have a negate. And the monster that they used it on didn't matter to me. I didn't care about it. So I was like, I'm not sure why we've done this, but yeah. This is the skill rebalance supposed to go tonight. I thought we'd get it this morning, and I was excited to play Vulcan with it. I do not know. I know it's supposed to happen on the 24th. That's all I know. Press is... does Go Rush have unique summon mechanics? We have Contact Fusion. So that's as unique as you make it. Right? It's still just Fusion, but it's Contact. The only other new mechanic that they introduced was Equip Spells. So, Go Rush, not the most exciting for new mechanics. Press is seeing play in Cyber Dragons, though. Press is. What are we talking about Press? Oh, we're talking about printing Press in Duel Links. Is seeing play in Cyber Dragons. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's just because it's a monster that can boost its attack a bit higher than Cerberus, and Cerberus is a bit mid, right? They bring Equip Spells, Contact Fusion. Earth Machine's best deck now. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but with Joint Tech Rex and a good skill, it could be. Also, Quantum Rush later after new ban list, and skill changes have gone live. Wait, is that today? Are we getting a Quantum Rush Today? Because if we are... Okay, it looks like nothing's been announced yet. But if it's today, that's exciting. Better versions of Maximus Fusions. Yes, for sure. I've also heard about the Galaxy Summon. Galaxy Summon isn't a thing. Derailing Bluetooth is busted by Duel Links standards and you can't change my mind. What do you mean? It's been power crept already. We have a nice little 1600 attack monster that's immune to it. So it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just the new type, like machine or insect. Equip spells were in 7s, were they not? No. They were introduced in Go Rush. They made a huge deal about it in the anime. And they were, you know, it was like a brand new mechanic. They treated it like it was like a maximum summon. They were like, oh, whoa, look at this new thing. This is crazy. Wow. Ban list is applied today. Skill changes between September 25th and 28th. Boo. Quantum Rush today is for last week. And not on Thursday this week. He said in global chat, so basically last Quantum Rush before next week. Oh, I see. Okay. He's switching today and Thursday. What's going on Thursday then? Is there just nothing going on Thursday? Is that the plan? We'll have to see. I'll try and find the word unless I read wrong. Sorry. Okay, well, getting a little bit back on track, I guess, because we're going to derail constantly. This is just a thing that's going to happen. But yeah, we're getting that. Get 10 packs when you are for free with each of the 2 new boxes. And again, we did already talk about this a little bit, but like, he said he didn't want to do 2 in 1 week. Wait. Why would he not do 2 in 1? Wait, why would you do 2 in 1 week anyway? Couldn't he just do it on Thursday and just not do it today, and that would still just be 1? I suppose it doesn't really matter, but 2 new boxes. This is insane, right? Today's is last Thursday's. Oh, I thought we were just skipping that. I was just like, yeah, that one's just gone. Because if we lose this Thursday's, then it's gone anyway, right? So it's like, we've still lost a tournament, right? Thanks for to add some AST to my Vulcan deck. Yeah, Vulcan's been performing all right, even though it hasn't got the skill changes yet, which is pretty scary, because when it does get the extra 200 attack, it could be really, really good. But yeah, 2 new boxes! Insanity ensues! What does this mean? If it's 2 rush boxes, which, again, we said at the start, Brad, I believe, did say that he believes this is going to be 2 rush boxes. So, how on earth do we get the gems, my friends? Alright, so 2 boxes doesn't mean we have to, like, freak out, right? This doesn't have to mean it's, like, a selection box. This doesn't have to mean it's 2 main boxes. This could just be 2 mini boxes. And 2 mini boxes is not too expensive gem-wise, right? If this is 2 minis, that's probably the best case scenario for, like, our gems, right? 2 main boxes, let's go. Oh god, the gems. Hello, JD Scrub, by the way. Not a main, mini, and super mini. I mean, we don't have that confirmed yet, right, Grand? I assume that's just speculation. But I just hope it's not a selection. That is my big worry. Is the last time we had a selection box, it devoured my gems. 2 mini is 27k. That's not a bad amount though, right? I already have like probably something like 23k. So like that's fine. I can work around that. But I would like to know what exactly it is so that I'm not told 2 days before it all comes out and then I have to mad panic grind a load of characters whilst I'm trying to work, right? I don't want to do that. That's not fun. But I also don't want to mad grind now because if it's not 2 bigger boxes, then all those gems go to waste and I then have to spend them on speed, which is not a bad thing, but it then means when a selection box for Rush comes out in the future, I then have some decisions to make because I'm eventually going to run out of those finite gems that are attached to your character level up rewards. So, you know, just ideal, right? Not a fan of 2 boxes. This is a chance to get people to try out rush duels again, but this might turn them off. Yes, Silky, I agree. We don't need 2. I think we just straight up don't need 2. If you're going to do a mini and a main, or sorry, a mini and a super mini, why not just do a main? What's the difference between a main and a mini plus a super mini? I don't know, it just seems weird to me. I say one's main and the other one is a pickup box. I mean, it could be. Maybe it's Go Rush and 7 separated. The only thing is, we don't do that in speed, right? We just have boxes with cards in them. Now, sometimes those archetypes might like lean towards this is more of a Zexal archetype, this is more of an Arc V archetype. But like, we just put them all in the same box, so it doesn't really matter, right? Monday Panic Grind, let's go. I'm only at 13k. I don't feel... I do feel sorry for you, Griffin. Alright, let me come over here for a sec, 'cause this will probably be easier. They also kind of have to give stuff to speed as much as we're having Rush would hype, so we'll probably get Structure Deck for speed, Rush Mini for Rush, and maybe Super Mini. I mean, that's the thing, we just don't know. All we can do is speculate, right? You can open only one, and not the whole main box. JD Scrub on a 5-stream streak agreed with just doing one big box, to be honest, to get a playable deck. Oh, are we talking about the differences, Bismarck? Is that what we're talking about there? I'm trying to like keep up. Tomato, hello, Pedal, Kata, welcome on in. I don't think so. They will be part of 7s. Sven is something else. What if they meant 2 new boxes as 2 latest? So, again, I've seen people saying one thing and then saying the other. Like, originally I saw people saying it's a mistranslation. On the other one, it was the 2 latest boxes. And then I saw a different, like, I think it was Brad was saying on Twitter more recently that it was looking like it was 2 new boxes. And then I think most recently I saw Brad saying in The Witch's Kitchen that he was saying it's going to be 2 new Rush boxes. And there's so much like speculation and different languages and people just trying to get information from each other. And I assume by the end of the day, we'll have something a little bit more concrete as we've consolidated all the rumors and different translations and everything. But for now, we're going to assume this is 2 Rush boxes, right? That's what we're going to assume just for now. What are banlist predictions, though? Is Candy going to 3 again? Jam to 1, etc. I don't think we're going to get a ban list until we've had a GRF. I would expect a GRF mid-October, probably, for a GRF. And then after that, we'd get a ban list, would be my feeling. I'll have to see what actually happens, though. Mind the typo. We were saying there's too much coming to be in one box. A main for a new world and a smaller one for fusions would be relevant. It gets a bit spooky, though, right? Because when you have a main plus... Let's say you got a main and a mini. That's a lot of cards. That's also a lot of gems, right? Especially for us Rush players that have quite... reasonably easily, we've been able to get 3 of every single card, right? What do you think of the new printing presser? Will it see play in the new Earth machines? I think if it gets more support in the future, because there is a lot of support for it, it could see some play. As is, it will probably be seen a little bit of play in Cyber Dragons until October 1st, when I assume it will get immediately replaced by other cards. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Tomato, do you ever leaks spoil the fun and being surprised? Well, leaks are the same as getting an announcement, except 1, you get to speculate a lot more, which I think is very fun, and 2, you hear about it earlier. So, like, in my mind, there isn't really a difference between a leak and an announcement, but that's just my take on it. Maybe some things should be revealed ahead of time. I don't know, like New World. Well, we did get the world leaked, and then we did get the world announced, and it was fine. The one thing I really want to do is just know what sized products and how many products we're getting ahead of time so I can farm the gems. That's all I want, Konami. If you could just tell me that, I will be happy. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one. I tell you, it is also getting very hot in this room. So I am going to grab my fan quick. So I'm going to be right back. Be gone for like barely any time at all. I will BRB. We're back. Now we just turn the camera back on. There it is. Wow, we're back. Look, nothing happened. I have a fan on me now, so I'm not going to be horribly sweating. So, it's just one of those things. I just want to know. I just want to know what we're getting. I just want to know, do I need 50,000 gems? Do I need 30,000 gems? I just want to know, Konami. Martyr me, but I think we need a lot of new cards. Martyr you? You're going to give your life for the cause. Is that what we're saying here? Every time we get some cards, it's just the same meta, but with one new deck being it. So I don't agree with that initial take. Bear in mind, I haven't finished reading the message yet. I think, if we let's jump over to the meta real quick, right? I don't think we necessarily need new decks to be the best deck in the game, right? But the last box we got gave us Psychics, right? Which is now arguably the best deck in the game. The latest box we got gave us a boost to SAR, which is now arguably the 5th best deck in the game. It gave us a boost to Blue Eyes in the Blue Eyes Monarchs. It gave us a boost to Bubble Error. So, like, in my opinion, this latest box we got gave us 4 decks that are in the top 8 decks. And I think that's good. That's a step in the right direction. These decks don't need to be the best deck in the game. They just needed to be meta relevant, and I think they all are. Now, I think there is maybe an argument that these 4 decks are a little bit too good. And some people wouldn't even put Royal Rebels in that argument, but I think it's just looking at the data, like these 3 decks are definitely like the strongest, right? If we take a look at the pie charts down here, I mean, again, it's a little bit cut off, but yeah, Psychic is a sizable chunk, and then, you know, when you get further round, they all start to kind of get a bit fine. Like Machine is reasonably similar to Cyburst, which is reasonably similar to Royal Rebels, etc., etc. So, like, I think the latest box actually did quite a lot. The box before that basically didn't move the needle, right? It introduced, like, worms, and then a bunch of crap no one played. So, like, anyway, back to the message. With one new deck being involved now, I think we need a soft reset to the meta, and a lot more cards would fix that. Yeah, it sucks the gems as those products release, but as we get more and more loaded gems, 3 new characters worth of gems, and once we have those products, we can then access them whenever we want, and they'll always be there, assuming one isn't a selection box. So, my counterpoint to that would be, no matter what we do, Mirror Innovator is still going to be good. The only way we stop that is if we hit the deck again, or we change the skill. So it needs a nerf, basically. Even if we get Go Rush cards, and even if we get fusions, and they're all, like, decently strong, unless they are so powerful that they've been power crept by the skills being busted, we will still see Light Machines being good. Because Mirror Innovator is just that kind of card. Mirror Innovator still sees play right now in the physical game. Like, it's just that kind of card. So, like, adding more cards into the game potentially will shake things up. It will potentially bring new decks into the meta. But even looking at Psychic, Psychic needed a skill that is unbelievably busted to overtake the other decks. So unless we're planning to do that for every new archetype that comes out, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think, realistically, if we want a really good meta shakeup, we need to hit those 3 top decks. Maybe, like, Psychic as well, I guess. So I'd say we want to hit the top 4 decks. That's my take on that. Maybe have I have 1.8k gems saved. That is a very small number, Genuine Wonder. I am... maybe fusions could be limited to the ones we've seen, and the new ones are released later. I could see them doing that. I mean, they definitely could. I would expect them to try and release a nice chunk of fusions, just to give us a bit of, like, variety, but obviously not blow your load entirely, because they're going to want hype for later boxes. So I could see, like, bring out something like 2 of the main characters' bosses, maybe like, I don't know, Gavin and Yuga's, and then save like Roman and Luke for the next box sort of thing. Like, I could see that happening. I could see them doing that. Pierce was their biggest mistake. Pierce is so strong. In my opinion, there was a time when you had to make decisions in deck building based on whether you were going to play against machines, whether you were going to play against harpies. If you were playing against harpies, you go, I don't care about my defense points, I need high attack points. So when my monsters get flipped face up, I don't take as much damage. When you play against machines, you say, I need high defense points because I don't care about my attack points because I'm going to get pierced over and I need to survive getting pierced over with a Mirror Innovator. So both of those decks had the ability to kind of change the way you built your deck. And then in a similar way, Royal Rebels do something similar, right? Where they say, if you leave a bunch of stuff in attack mode, I'm going to punish you by blowing up your whole board, doing a ton of damage to you. And there's not a ton of ways to like play around this. And one of the few ways to actually play around it is Mirror Innovator. So like, it's a weird... There are a lot of decks in the game that can force you to play the game differently and deck build differently that kind of hamstring you. And I think because of that, some of those decks are always going to have like a place in the meta unless they get changed, right? I would rather have a lot of banlist hits than more skill power creep so the game doesn't derail. Yes, I do think though that we are going to need some skill power creep, not a ton, but for example, fusions, I think without a skill is going to be very difficult to sell, right? Again, just to go with what we've seen, what we've already been shown. Get out a 7's Road Magician. Okay, normal summon, tribute both to summon out the 7's Road Magician. Normal summon Roadstar, what is it, Warrior of Roadstar, whatever his name is. And then activate Fusion. That's a 5-card combo to get out a guy that will die to a Widespread Ruin. Right, I don't know, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Fusion would be kind of bad without power creep, yeah? Yeah, I think we need some sort of skill for these fusions to make them playable. Or, like, not necessarily playable, but, like, to make it not feel like a massive investment to get something that might not have a coherent payoff, I guess. A lot of, to be honest, a lot of rush skills were very low power level. I don't know if some people like that, but it could be a slight boost. So, for me... The set that always stood out to me was Genesis Maximum, right? So this box came out, and before this came out, a lot of the skills were kind of whatever, right? They were like kind of weak. But then we got Maximum Ragnarok. And Maximum Ragnarok is an insane skill, right? Being able to weaken 2 monsters by 800, to be able to get your monsters cheaper, to be able to stack maximum pieces to your deck. Just everything it did was really, really strong. Magnum Overlord, again, stack maximum pieces to your deck. Weaken your opponent's monsters. Get monsters out easier. Really, really strong. We also got the Harpy skill, which lets you change your opponent's face-down monsters to face-up attack, and also boost your attack by a lot. Really, really strong for the time. The Thunder skill, again, really, really good skill, right? You can weaken your opponent's monsters and change something to defense. It's such powerful skills. But then, we get things like the Plant skill, which is just bad. Like, I really like some of the plant cards. I really like Neoplandish as a card. The plant skill is ass. And I'm like, why didn't we get a good plant skill when we got a really good Thunder skill, a really good Harpy skill, a really good, you know, Maximum skills? Like, it felt disappointing. And I think that not all skills are created equally. Some of them are very, very, very powerful. Some of them are very, very, very weak. And I feel like I don't even know if a lot of consideration is put into which ones get to be overpowered and which ones get to be, like, a bit naff. I still think that plant skill is backwards. What do you mean by that, Manicist? Do you mean you want it to be used in a different way? Like, you want to... 300 attack at the end of this turn. If the monster was the trains, it inflicts piercing damage. You want it to, like, not be the special summoned one, maybe? But, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. Like, I feel like plants, no matter what, any archetype or any deck that gets released in Rush can get, and this is Duel Links in general, not even just Rush, can get a busted skill to make it as strong as Konami wants it to be. So whenever a deck comes out and it's bad, that is because Konami have decided that deck should be bad, right? Bender Break, Volt Condor, Rider Cross, Dark Arts of Positioning. Konami decided all of those decks need to be bad, right? That's just a thing that they could have buffed any of those decks if they wanted to. They've chosen not to. So they're quite happy with where they are right now, right? Because the one you special can attack direct, so it doesn't need piercing, and the one whose effect you can't attack direct. So exactly. That's such a simple change. That probably won't even make plants good. But why is that not already a thing? Right? It's so weird to me. It's so weird. Anyway, structure deck, free campaign double implemented. Get one of each of the 2 new structure decks for free. So we are going to go over our speculations for this. But there are a lot of options for what these structures could be. And again, we still don't know if this is going to be Rush or Speed or it's one of each or whatever. And then we're just getting more rewards, cosmetic accessory, or commemorative accessory, sorry. This is all fine. And then we got some new screenshots. And these screenshots are pretty hype, right? Ancient Gear and Metarion. I don't know if we're going to get Metarion as a structure. I think it'd be disappointing, I guess, for me, personally. Maybe it'd just be fine. But we'll talk about these screenshots real quick, right? So we have a screenshot. We get to see Yuhi in his UTS outfit, which is quite nice. So it's confirmed not time skip Yuhi. We also have actual confirmation of Jointech Rex. We have actual confirmation of Plan Samu Rainak. We also have new card revealed in Interstellar Slime, which is fine. There are some support cards for that later, so it's not just going to be like a usual vanilla. Secret Unlock Uo would fit because either also are in the Ancient Gearbox in physical with new support. I mean, yeah. I just don't see the whole secret release thing. Like, has Konami ever done that in Duel Links? Is user interface change for all worlds? I don't like the new UI. Hopefully we can choose. Yeah, you can change it back. There's a button that like lets you swap. Well, it lets you change between having the character on the screen and this. So like, this is the new default, I guess, what you see on the right here. We also don't know what the level cap's going to be yet, do we, for the characters? So that could be interesting as well. Chupataro is here again. We already knew that was coming, so there's nothing particularly exciting there. Deck build box up here. We already knew that was a thing. Then, like, nothing's particularly crazy. We get to see the fusion animation, which is quite nice. This is the fusion animation from the show. There have been secret unlocks, yeah. I think Crow and Luna. Ah, okay. I wasn't playing when those came out, I don't think, so that's interesting. Because that... Yeah, I mean, that would make some sense then. Just have it, because in my mind, I'm like, the next unlock has to be a Go Rush unlock, right? There's no way we're not just going to immediately drop a Go Rush character, and it's going to be Manabu. So I think we're going to get mid-October, the same way we got Mimi, we're going to get Manabu, we're going to get some new Pyro stuff. That's what I would expect. And I'm like, well, okay, where do we give us Uo? Like, if we're going to get Uo, where do we fit in? But yeah, as a secret unlock, that makes sense. Scud was secret. No, listen, right? We don't even talk about Scud. We don't acknowledge that Scud is a character in Duel Links here. Right, I just read increase of gems in level and like more level up cards copies either via gate or level up rewards. I just need... Okay. Man, I'm looking forward to Manabu's cards, not going to lie. His boss is good. It's good, and it looks awesome. Like, it's so cool. Unlock condition, 100 fusion summons. I don't want that. But yeah, we got, you know, this all looks cool, right? Is that it? Is that all of everything? It's pretty much all of everything. All right, I guess let's get to the... we've been speculating this whole time. But let's talk about some of these cards. If we were to get... also, the side note, the OCG Rush, yesterday we got Star of the Beginning revealed as a Fusion Recycler. Well, that's another weird thing. I think... For me, I actually think that we have been, or Konami have been releasing cards in the physical game with the intention of releasing them as a balance for Duel Links. Which sounds weird, but if the card physically comes out, even if it won't see play now, they could still retroactively then put it into Duel Links, right? And I think that's a thing that's happening. But we're going to jump over here because the Ancient Gear cards are not currently in the database. So we're going to take a look at some of these Ancient Gear cards because I think there is a non-0% chance that we get an Ancient Gear structure. So I want to talk about some of the Ancient Gear cards, the ones which I think possibly could come out, the ones which I don't think will come out. So first thing I'm going to do is change this just for my own personal sanity. So we have Ancient Gear Golem. Everyone already knows this card, right? Cannot be special summoned. It's probably the worst part about this card. 3000 attack, 3000 defense. When it attacks, your opponent cannot activate trap cards, and if it attacks an inflicts monster, inflict piercing. So it's very short, very sweet, very simple, very powerful, right? The level up reward for Udius is not a good sign. I guess the ultra hype Interstellar Slime. I mean, it's a cool card. Possible the best legend card, but it's weak to trap hole. I mean, to be fair, what isn't weak to trap hole? Like, basically everything in the game is weak to trap hole, right? So, like maximums aren't, but, like, every other, like, boss monster is. I don't think they are for Duel Links, but they are a history of cards being released in Duel Links when new cards for the archetype set will be revealed. Well, it's like... Right, so this archetype in general, I think, is quite weak. So let's talk about the next one. This is probably one of the better ones, right? This is Ancient Gear Tyranno. So level 8, Earth, 2500 attack, 2500 defense. If we have an Earth attribute monster on an Earth attribute machine type monster with a continuous effect, spoiler alert, there are not very many of those. It's basically just the Ancient Gear cards, and a couple will go over at the end. We can normal summon this card for 1 less tribute. So this is a 1 tribute, 2500 attack monster. So you could make an argument this is like Stormbolt Destroyer, where it just gets you a +1 because it discounts itself, right? So it's kind of the same sort of thing, except a little bit less versatile. But then, it has the effect your opponent can activate trap cards when it declares an attack. So it's just the default Ancient Gear thing, right? Cannot be special means no S or flukes. I'll take it. Brad said this is the first Duel Links exclusive card, which is really cool. Well, assuming Grand was correct earlier, apparently it happened with Super Heavy Samurai Wagon, so... But Tyranno's fine. I think Tyranno could come out in Duel Links. This card is fine. This card is cool. I don't think this is overpowered. I don't think this is insane. This is about the right power level for Duel Links, in my opinion. Now, everyone's welcome to disagree with that. I think this could come out now and be fine. The next card, I actually think is a bit crap, right? It's not crap. It's just... So this is Powered Soldier. It's a level 7, 2000 attack, 2000 defense. So already, pretty crap stats for a level 7. If we have an Ancient Gear Golem, Ancient Gear Soldier, or Ancient Gear Beast face up on our field, we can normal summon this card for 1 less tribute. Okay, so a 1 tribute monster is a little bit better for these stats. It's still not great. We still want to have that 21 on a 1 tribute, and 1 tributes in general are a bit crap anyway. But then continuous effect. During your turn, it gains 1000 attack. So it's 3000 attack, but only during our turn. And again, your opponent can activate trap cards when it declares an attack. I am not a big fan of this card, to be honest. If you can guarantee you're going to get the tribute discount, it's like, okay. But if you're playing an Ancient Gear deck, and you're let's say we're playing this in Duel Links, right? Realistically, you don't really want to be playing more than like 4 bosses. So you're going to be playing like Gear Golem, you're going to be playing a 3 Tyranno, maybe you play like a 1-off Powered Soldier. I don't think you'd want to play anything more than that. So like it's not inherently bad, but only 2000 on your opponent's turn is really kind of mid. And then we get to like some of the classics. We have Ancient Gear Beast. This card has actually gotten weaker from TCG to Rush because it has lost the ability to turn off monsters' effects that it destroys, because monsters don't have effects that activate when they're destroyed in Rush, so it would be redundant. But technically it has gotten weaker, right? It's not great. It's just kind of almost all around a worse version of Powered Soldier. The only benefit that you have with Beast is that if we don't have access to Soldier, then Powered Soldier has to come out for 2 tributes, whereas you could just summon out Beast for 1 tribute, right? So like, Ancient Gear Soldier is actually really good. So his stats are a bit whatever, right? 1300, 1300. Who cares? It's kind of bad, right? But if we have this out, we can summon out Powered Soldier and Tyranno for 1 less tribute. This is like effectively like a Seahorse Carrier, but only if we already have one of these two. Because we can summon this, or summon out the Soldier, then immediately tribute it off to get out either a Tyranno, because it needs a machine with a continuous effect, and guess what? It has a continuous effect, which is the same as all the other Ancient Gear cards. And Powered Soldier, basically, again, does the exact same thing, except we need to have a specifically named card, and Ancient Gear Soldier is one of those cards. So, kind of brings the whole deck together in a very important piece. So, just based on what we've seen already, I think we could get... We already know we're getting Golem. I think we could get Tyranno. I think we could get Beast. And I think we could get Soldier. And that would probably be it. I think that would be fine to just give us those 4 cards, give us a skill that works with them, and bam, that's a structure deck. Because basically, whenever a structure comes out, we don't get that many new cards in it. We can sit here and go, oh, we could get this and this and this and this. For the most part, we get like 3 to 5 new cards in a structure deck. So I think those would probably be the 4 I would put in it. 3 classic cards, 1 new Rush card with a spin. I think that would be a really decent box, and I would actually love to play this deck if we got all of that. And because I think it would be awesome, and I would love to play it, I don't think it's going to happen, and that makes me sad. And then the spell to make it OP, but I can out all the bosses for 0 tribute. I mean, kinda. Join Tech middle piece in AG, yeah, it does have a continuous effect. Which, again, we'll talk about that in a minute, because we do already have that loaded up. But so the other monster of the deck is Ancient Gear Supplier. So the only reason I don't think we're going to get this is because I don't think we'll get the field spell. But this is 800 attack, 800 defense. Send 1 spell or trap from your field to the graveyard. Shuffle 2 Earth attribute machine type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. So quite nice recycling. Destroy a spell trap on the opponent's field. Already that's quite a good effect. And then if we send Gear Section to the graveyard to meet this requirement, we can draw a card. So effectively this pluses us only if we send Section. But other than that, just being able to pop Spell Trap is really good on just a normal summon guy. But then we have Section, which is a field spell, which is, while this card is face up in the field zone, face up Earth attribute machine type monsters gain 200 attack. So, I mean, how do we break this, right? That makes Gear Soldier become 15. It makes Tyranno become 27. Thank you for the follow, Draconeutron. It makes Join Tech Rex become 27, I guess. But the other effect is both players can normal summon Earth attribute machine monsters that have the same attack and defense for 1 less tribute. That's basically just the Ancient Gears. So we can summon these out for 1 less tribute. Which, if we combine that with, for example, Tyranno or Powered Soldier, we could get these out for free. Without tributing, basically. So I don't think we're going to get this. I don't think we're going to get this. And then the last card we're definitely not going to get is going to be the Ancient Gear Barrage. When your opponent's monster declares an attack, shuffle 4 machine monsters from your graveyard into the deck, destroy 1 card on the opponent's field. I shouldn't have to explain why we're not going to get this card. 1, Konami hate trap cards. 2, this is generic, which means machines can play it. Just like Innovator can play this. 3, this incentivizes just playing machine pile and everything. As long as your skill doesn't lock you out of machines, you could just play a bunch of machines and put 3 of this in your deck, and it would just be generic and fantastic and everything. And it also destroys any card. So this can destroy face up, face down, spell traps, monsters. It doesn't matter. We're not getting this card, so it's kind of irrelevant to talk about it, but it's the last Ancient Gear card, so I thought we'd mention it. Who else wants Go Rush? Oh, we all want Go Rush. Everyone in here. Welcome on in. Joel! I heard about this channel after YC, or WCS, not YCS. That's something completely different. But yeah, welcome on in, Draconeutron. I don't like Duel Link though. Ah, that's a shame. I mean, we're basically Rush fans in here. There are a lot of like Speed fans in here as well, but for the most part, this is just kind of a Rush place. Nice light machine support. That seems really strong. It's because it is. But the only way to access Rush Duel. Yes, it is a shame that Rush Duel is not anywhere else other than in Duel Links, but that's just kind of the way things go. So, we'll take another look at Tyranno. Tyranno says we need Earth attribute machine type monsters with continuous effects. That's very specific. Guess what? We have one here. This is Hybridrive Barrier Tail. This is a brand new card. This is not going to come out in Duel Links anytime soon. We don't really need to read it because it's not going to come out anytime soon. But it's one of the other cards that potentially would work, so I thought we'd mention it. All you really need to know is this gives your guys protection. It can come out very easily, and it also has piercing. It's very, very good. We're not going to get it. This is a little bit more likely to come out. This is Mega Jointech Fortrex. This is a maximum monster, which is also in the Jointech archetype, and we're about to get some Jointech stuff, right? So this could come out sooner than later, but like I still don't expect to get this immediately. I still expect this to come out a little ways down the line, but again, this is one of the only other Earth attribute machine type monsters with a continuous effect. So we're not going to go into it too much because again, I don't think this is going to come out, but I thought we'd mention all the other cards since again, I am hard coping, right? I am hard coping that we get Ancient Gear Tyranno, right? I want Ancient Gear Tyranno so bad. Very few things could make me more excited than an Ancient Gear structure deck that has Ancient Gear Tyranno in it and a skill that makes it good. That would be so like that's my Christmas wish list. Is just all of that. Just give me Ancient Gear Tyranno as a strong meta deck. That's all I want. That's all I want. Now, I'm sure we'll get Jointech Fighter at some point, though. Jointech Fighter is cool. It's a bit of a weird one. We'll look it up quick. Because why not? Jointech Fighter. We did mention this in one of our videos. One of our prediction videos. So if anyone wants more in-depth, you can go over there and check that out. This does not have a continuous effect, but it does have the same attack and defense, but that's a little bit irrelevant because we can't tribute this out cheaper because it's a fusion monster, right? Isn't that the maximum of a character? Yes, it is Yuhi's. Is the maximum of Yuhi. Will Cyber Dragon have any support release in Go Rush Duel Links? So we've already got some, and we're expecting more. We don't know exactly what we're going to get. I've seen some people saying they think we're going to get another Cyber Dragon structure. I cannot think of a worse structure to release than a Cyber Dragon one after you've just released a Cyber Dragon one. So that's my take on that. One of the starting 3, we already know of 2 more, but not sure how many more they will release. But yeah, that's kind of it for this. I want this. I want Ancient Gear structure. It writes itself. It makes sense. Konami, give me Ancient Gear Tyranno. I want this in a structure deck now. But what else could they release? So we've just had people talking about some of the Metarian stuff. We will go over that in a little bit. My first thought, and I've been thinking this for a while. What is a really, really good archetype that they could release alongside a GX boss monster they just so happen to be given out for free that also shows off fusions that's also really big nostalgia bait? And I came to the conclusion, Elemental Heroes. Why not release the weaker Elemental Hero cards? Why not? I think you can't give us the good ones because they'd be too good. You can give us the wimps. I think that would be fine. You can give us Avian. Avian is not overpowered. Look at this man. Look at his finely toned legs. He is fine. He can come out in the game. We've also lost our music. Get that back. So, potentially, this could happen, right? Is it going to happen? It's probably like 25%. I don't think it's likely. It could. There is a world, right? Elemental Hero Avian would just be the icing on the cake, or should I say Elemental Heroes in general, to having Ancient Gears, and having Cyber Dragons, right? We've already got all these GX archetypes. This is the new world. This is like the GX of Rush Duel, right? We could do this. We could do this. Another one that could come out, Elemental Hero Burst Dinatrix. And if you look, we get the Japanese art. This would obviously be censored because we're not allowed this, because this is considered like obscene clothing. So we're not allowed that. We'll have the one covered up. But we could get Burst Dinatrix. Again, attacks and defense, not great, right? Realistically. Anyway, let's catch up with chat quick. It has Proto Cyber Dragon in the structure deck. Heroes always sell even if it hurts. Time to get weak cards like Circulation and Crossloader. Circulation, I don't think we're gonna get that somehow. Wait, Heroes in Rush, I'm so here. No way we have Heroes in Rush. Yes, we do. We already know we will get 2 copies of Cyber Assault Dragon, at least 1 copy of Cyber End Dragon. There you go. There's Corey keeping everyone informed, because I was going into this assumption we were going to do about all that, but clearly I am just getting a bit baffled. Hero always wins in the end, so 5Ds Rush next year. I mean, potentially, we do already have Turbo Duels in Rush, so somehow GX has returned. We could get Rising Hero instead of GX bait instead. The Rising Heroes, though, don't really work without the Elemental Heroes, is the issue. I hope they don't censor Burst Dinatrix. Oh, you know it's getting censored. We're not allowed that. A reported stream for this filth! I mean, I don't blame you. I can't blame you. I should know better, really. Also, has my music gone all weird again? It has. Okay, that's fine. Maximum as Exodia. In Go Rush, there have been many references to 5Ds in the background. I mean, there should be references to everything, right? We've already had, even in 7s, we had an entire archetype that was an entire reference to Utopia, right? So, I just did some search. In Rush, we have some exclusive hero for Rush only. Yes, we do. We'll talk about some of them in a minute as well. I don't think we'll get heroes. The Ancient Gear would have been Neos if they wanted to use it as a hook. So the thing is, I don't think we should get Neos yet, right? So I think it makes sense to not give us Neos. Because Neos implies we're going to get Contact Fusion, right? And I think that's a bad precedent to set, because we're not going to get Contact Fusion for a long ass time. But the other one we could get, the big fusion, everyone knows it, Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, come on. Give us Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, Konami. Again, this is fine. This is actually quite a nice card, because in the current power level of the game, this isn't overpowered. And this skill does let us beat set 3 pass without just having piercing, without having multi-attack, without being able to attack directly. It's just a nice way to beat set 3 pass, and I think that just kind of works. It works quite nicely. Now, where this gets a bit complicated is the other card I think they should release is Skyscraper. Because again, it's a classic hero card, but giving Elemental Hero Flame Wingman an extra 1,000 attack now means that Flame Wingman can out everything and then can burn your opponent for 3,000 damage, which seems kind of good. Now, again, I don't think we can get Magnet Warriors. I'll go over a little bit why in a minute. But we'll just talk about this for a second. So while this card is face up in the field zone, face up Elemental Hero Avian, Elemental Hero Burst Dinatrix, Elemental Hero Clayman, Elemental Hero Sparkman, Elemental Hero Bubbleman, and Neos. So this is the only problem. This line here is why I don't think we'd get this card. Because historically, we have not had cards come out that list the names of other cards, and I don't think we're going to get Neos. So, I don't think we're going to get Skyscraper, because I don't think we're going to get Neos. But the other one is or level 5 to 8 warrior-type fusion monsters. So what I could see is a skill that does something similar to what Skyscraper does. I could see that. Tomato, on the side note, when do you expect us to get Sky Savior or Void Verge in Go Rush World? Sky Savior, not for a while. Again, they're very problematic. I think we'll get the Dark Galaxy stuff when Zuijo comes out. It shouldn't be too long. Void with Zuijo, personally December or January. Yeah, basically what Corey's saying. Nah, Flame Wingman too strong. Flip down a boss with Torero. Use Piercing Samurai to give it Pierce. Attack Hydron, for example. That's 4,600 in... That's fine, though. I think that's cool. Just let that be a thing. Stop playing Cyburst if you're worried about your zero defense monster getting flipped down and pierced over and burned. In fact, that's perfect, Manicus. We found a way to kill one of the meta decks. We can kill Cyburst by bringing out elemental heroes. It's perfect. Sky Saver, I don't know. I play gadgets, but I'm not really a fan of magnets. In Rush Duel, magnets play very differently, and they are very fun. I will say that. So other cards that are, you know, potential. Hero Boy, I think, is fine. The only downside, again, is it lists this card. It says Skyscraper in the name, which means we probably won't get it. But if we have Fusion or Skyscraper in our graveyard, we can add up to 2 Warrior-type normal monsters and or Fusion from our graveyard to our hand, then send 1 monster from your field to the graveyard, which will almost certainly be itself. So you just summon it out, take back 2 cards from the graveyard back to your hand, which will be Warrior-type normal monsters and or Fusion, and then send this to the graveyard. Now, notably, this is worded a bit weird, but you only get 2 cards. So if you have, let's say, Avian, Burstinatrix, and Fusion in the graveyard, you can only take 2 of them. So you can't just use this to get like a free Flame Wingman on the field. But, you know, it's cool. Again, if we get this, we'd be getting Skyscraper. If we got Skyscraper, we'd be getting Elemental Hero Neos. Because there's like a chain of cards that just like list other things. Are there Neos HD in Rush? Yeah, there are Neos cards. We got this guy. We got Neos. You know, he's there. We also have some Neospatian stuff, which aren't in this at the moment, unfortunately, but heroes might be what make me play Rush over speed. Ooh, this is what we need. We need more players just brought over. So the next one we're going to talk about is Rising Hero Argent. The Rising Heroes are a bit crap, so I'm not a big fan of them personally, but this one's like okay, especially when you're playing 30 card deck. We can reveal 1 level 6 or 7 Warrior-type Fusion monster in your extract your opponent, excavate the top 4 cards of your deck. You can add up to 2 excavated normal monsters whose names are mentioned as material on that monster, revealed to meet the requirement, to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck. So basically, this is Dark Magic Curtain, except instead of searching for Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, we'll be searching for Elemental Hero Avian and Burstinatrix. So we reveal that we have a Flame Wingman, we look at the top 4, and if we have copy of Avian or Burstinatrix, we can put them in our hand. Sometimes this card will just do nothing, right? You'll just look at the top 4, and you'll put them to the bottom, and that'll be it. But sometimes it will let you +1, and if you're very, very lucky, it will let you +2. Now, notably, because we do have things like Avian Spell Tactics, we can force this to go off, right? We can put, like, Avian back to the top of our deck, then use Argent, force that Avian into our hand. So there is like some little combos we can do with that. Maybe this would be okay. I don't really like the other Rising Heroes, but I guess we'll talk about some of the other cards as well. So there's Bubble Man. Bubble Man has always been a bit of a weird card, right? Bubble Man has always found a really difficult time being playable because its effect is extremely specific. So if we have no other cards in your hand or field during the main phase that we have normal or special summon this card, we get to draw 2 cards. So, like, when is that ever going to happen? Like, it'll happen once in a blue moon, like, extraordinarily rarely, but unfortunately it's not that great. And that's kind of the last hero card we're going to talk about, as in, like, main deck monster, I guess. Now we'll talk about some of the cards we're definitely not getting. So we're not getting Elemental Hero Burst Wingman. This is the good hero rush card. This card is insane. So it's made using Avian and Burstinatrix, so it's exactly the same as a Flame Wingman. Then it has the requirement, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, which again is fine. Effect 1 face-up warrior-type monster on your field gains 1000 attack, which can be itself, so it can go up to 31. Then, and by the way, this is until the end of your opponent's turn. So this is similar in Rush right now, or in Duel Links right now. The only thing we really have similar to this is Vulcan. When we use the Vulcan skill, we can boost it until the end of our opponent's turn. This is similar to that, where it gets to keep the boost. And then we can pop a Spell Trap, which is so good. This card is so, so good. Lingering attack boost, which doesn't have to be on itself, don't forget, this can be on something else. And pop a back row is so, so good. Especially when you consider the fact that we could have something like Skyscraper out to give it an extra 1000 attack. This guy can get to like 4100 attack, which is really, really good. If they actually add Hero into Rush Duel Link, I might become a whale in Duel Links. No shit, this card looks awesome. Yeah, we're not getting this. I'm going to put my foot there now. Konami is not giving us this card yet. This will be coming out like in like 2 years, right? This is so far away. But I still think this guy could come out. I think this would be fine. Personally. I know, Manicist has a difference in opinion. I think the Flame Ring can come out and be fine. So next up, we're going to talk about Elemental Hero Sparkman. Sparkman is not going to come out because of one quite obvious little reason. His stats are too good. 1600 attack. You might be thinking, we're about to get a 1600 attack. We're literally about to get, where is he? Transamu Rhynek. Look, right there, he's got 1600 attack. So it's fine. Well, one, they probably want to make Transamu Rhynek coming out a big deal, right? If you just release 2 monsters that have a load of attack like that, he's no longer special. And 2, he immediately power creeps him because he's got 1400 defense. So, like, it's just immediately better and is a better type because Warrior gets to have all the other support, right? You can just give this Piercing with Piercing Samurai, right? There are a lot of Warrior support cards that just make Warriors just good. So we're not getting Sparkman. And even more reason, or even more of a like profound reason, we're not getting Clayman. Because a level 4 normal summon with 2000 defense, we're not getting that. We're just not. I shouldn't have to explain why we're not getting that. This already power creeps Mystical Elf that isn't out yet, right? There is a 2000 defense legend monster that we haven't got yet. We're not getting Clayman, right? Rush Stock's going up for me. 1600 is huge. Oh yeah. He power crept the Galaxy guy. Tremendous power, increased 100 attack. Oh yeah. Did you just say Sparkman is better than Rhynek? Good guys, unfollow. But yeah, we're not getting Clayman. We're not getting Clayman. And that means, unfortunately, we're not getting Thunder Giant. Thunder Giant, actually, as a monster, I think would be fine. I think if this wasn't made using Sparkman and Clayman, which we're not getting, this guy would be fine. So 2400 attack is not too big. We can send 1 card from our hand to the graveyard, so quite a balanced cost to destroy a monster, but it has to have less attack than his attack, which means if we don't have a way to boost his attack, if we don't have, let's say, Skyscraper, this only pops 2300 and lower attack monsters. This won't pop a Mirror Innovator. This won't pop a 2500 attack guy. This is probably fine. But we're not going to get it because Sparkman Clayman. Some other cards we're not going to get. We're not going to get Mudball Man because we're not getting Clayman. And also, I mean, we can't release a 3000 defense monster just as we're bringing out the first 3000 defense monster in Ancient Gear Golem. Okay, that would not be fair. That's just not fair. Skill. I mean, there's potential, but I think the problem with putting him attached to a skill is if we had Thunder Giant as part of a skill, it would still, when you summon it, list these 2 cards. And I think Konami is like a big no-no on listing cards that aren't available. Oh, this is a skill. I mean, even so, that would still have the same problem. It's just a worse new Cyber Dragon. That's fine. So the best coping for us right now is the Cyber Dragon Fusion. Cyber Rush Dragon is like, it's not bad by any stretch. And I mean, it could come out. We have a whole video going on. We've already talked at length about the Cyber Dragon Fusion, so I'm not really going to go into it here. But like, I mean, there's potential. Then again, more cards we're not going to get. We're not going to get Miracle Fusion. Ironically, Miracle Fusion with Avian, Burstinatrix, and Flame Wingman, probably fine. But Miracle Fusion then creates a weird balancing problem, whereas if we want to release any of the other Elemental Hero cards, we're then enabling Miracle Fusion to be used with them. So maybe it would be fine, maybe it wouldn't. Plus, fusing from the graveyard is always so powerful in Rush, because basically, yeah, the same in Speed in a lot of ways. You just get to say, this one card in my hand, this is a boss monster. And I just get to, like, this, I just bam boss monsters on the field. And that is arguably too good. Like, when 7's Wonder Fusion came out, that was too good. So, Miracle Fusion is probably also too good. And then the last couple talk about Elemental Circulation. Someone did bring this up earlier, but we can reveal 1 level 6 or 7 Warrior-type Fusion monster in our extra deck to our opponent, and send 1 Warrior-type monster whose name is mentioned as material on it from our hand to the graveyard, and draw 3 cards. Then send 1 card from our hand to the graveyard, and if we do, we cannot activate monster effects until the end of this turn, except for Warrior-type monsters. So this is very wordy. Basically, we activate this, we show our opponent an Elemental Hero Flying Wingman. We then have to send an Avian or a Burst Dinatrix from our hand to the graveyard. Then we draw 3. Then we discard 1. And then we can't activate effects except for Warriors for the rest of the turn. So it's a consistency tool. Now, the reason I don't think we're going to get this is we haven't got any other consistency tools yet. We have not gotten Ship of 7 Treasures. We have not gotten Trade-In. We have not gotten Charm of Saturnius. We've not got any of the other consistency tools. We haven't got Heavenly Blessing or Heavenly Gift, whichever one it's called. So I don't think we're going to get this because we don't have any of those yet. So, you know. But that is pretty much everything, I think, with the new stuff at the very least. We'll do some cheeky refreshes to make sure no new information has come out. But I don't think it will have. Yeah, I'm very excited. I think I'm a little bit worried about my gems. Other than that, I'm very excited for getting a whole bunch of new cards. I'm looking forward to playing with fusion monsters. I'm looking forward to playing with Ancient Gears. Ideally, again, this could just be one card. It could just be Golem. But if we do get more Ancient Gear cards, that could be so crazy and so good and so fun. And I want that so bad. I would also need more generic warrior monsters, though. I propose Kazuha the Talismanic Supreme Sage as a fusion, because he's literally recycle, circulation, or miracle. I don't think we're going to go for that, personally. Because the other thing is the other talismanic cards that we haven't got yet. So we haven't got Minanagi yet, and Minanagi is arguably the best one. Because Minanagi just lets you add a level 8 monster with 2500 attack from your graveyard to your hand, which is really, really strong. So because of that, it means if we do get Minanagi, that opens us up to getting Kazuha. Kazuha also uses Shitotsu, who ironically is probably... Is Shitotsu the worst one? Maybe. Sakakaze is like... When we get access to Miracle Fusion type effects, Sakakaze becomes a lot better because he gets to deny them. Karatake... It's kind of shit. Little tiny bits of burn. Again, it does all add up. He has seen play. Same low, hyped for everything, but gems aren't even enough for a main box yet if we get it. Yeah. Tomato, I think Rush at the moment feels more to play than the current speed format. I could be wrong. And with this, it's going to be even better. What do we think about that? I think if you just grind ladder, if you're just a ladder duelist, you're having a good time in that. It's fine. It's a good time. It's enjoyable. It's maybe a little bit more luck based, but that's just kind of the game. If you're playing tournaments, I think you end up running into the same decks a lot. You keep playing against machines, you keep playing against Cyburst, you keep playing against psychics. I have played against so many psychic players in like the last few tournaments I've been in, and I would just like that to get shaken up a bit. I think that's a sentiment that a lot of people are feeling the same. The meta again is becoming a bit stale, and the issue was the meta was stale before this meta, and 3 of the best decks from the previous meta are still in this meta. So that's why we're kind of like, could we just move some of that on? Thank you for following. Oh, here we go again. Awantus? Avantus. We're going to go with Awantus. But yeah, if we go back to take a look at the meta again, because again, we are coming to the end, right? This is the end of the Sevens era. Although we're only really halfway through the Sevens era, we're getting the Go Rush era. So this is the end of this meta at the very least. So we're going to just talk about this quick. So this meta has been going on for a long time. As you can see, there are a lot of tournaments. We have a lot of results. And the most winningest deck is Psychic, right? I was just referring to Rush compared to Speed. Speed meta feels even worse. So Speed is a weird one. I think before Birds released, Speed was actually in quite a good spot. Also, thank you for the follow badge. Welcome on in. Yeah, until Birds, I thought the Speed meta was actually good. What was the worst thing? I guess Seraphs has been a bit... It's weird. I think for me, both metas, or I guess Speed more specifically, keeps being like great, and then something becomes really overpowered and really pushed, and then the meta dips, and then it gets nerfed, and then people really like it again, and then something comes out that's really overpowered and gets pushed, and then it gets nerfed and people like it again, and it's like this up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's kind of how I see speed at the moment, where every time something comes out and it's like busted, like for me this started with Tachyon. I think Tachyon came out, everyone hated it. Tachyon got nerfed, everyone loved it. Then Agents came out, everyone hated it, it got nerfed, everyone loved it. And then Birds came out, and Birds are not anywhere near, in my opinion, the level of those two decks, because those two decks were dominant like at all stages of the meta. They was dominating ladder, they were dominating tournaments, they were dominating everything. Birds to me feels like a deck that is competent in tournaments, competent on ladder, well, dominating ladder, I guess. It's one of those weird ones where it beats all the rogue decks, and I think that is a big no-no. Because if you're beating all the rogue decks, you're beating most of the player base. You're beating everyone that isn't playing, like the 3 or 4 great decks that just beat it. Birds are just an annoying, you either have the out or you don't. Yeah, kind of basically. If it's popular, people will hate it. Well, that's the thing as well. It's like, I don't inherently hate machines in Rush, but I am bored of them. I think they have been around for too long. Let's get rid of that. Where is it? This one. Okay. There we go. We can just adjust that slightly so we can actually see the screen a little better. But yeah, I don't think Mirror Innovator is a boring card. I just think Mirror Innovator has been one of the best decks, if not the best deck, since it came out, right? Like, let's jump back. Steel Collider Mirror. Now, what's this? The best deck in the game is Machines. Heavy Strike Excavator. The best deck in the game is Machines. The current meta, Transcendent Mirror Geas. Arguably the second best deck in the game is Machines. It's Steel Collider Mirror released. God, what was the 5th month? January, February, March, April, May. We got there. May. Since May to now, we're approaching October, this has been arguably the best deck in the game. That's so long, right? That is 5 months of one deck being the best deck. Now, right, to be fair, I think you could make the argument over in speed with like Borrowlink. Borrowlink has been around for so long. In my opinion, I have felt like that deck has been around forever and just seems to never get hit for whatever reason. So again, I don't hate Borrowlink. I'm just getting bored of it. I'm like, could we just see something else be really good now, right? Again, that's just my take. Sad to see Red Eyes only appear once. No, I don't agree. It's not that it's popular. It is a polarizing deck. Every deck has to tech for birds. If you have one deck that forces every other deck to tech for them, you have a problem. So it gets... You get into a bit of minutia there. Because in a weird way, Rush has a similar deck called Royal Rebels, where you have to change the way you play, and there are some specific techs against it. The difference is Royal Rebels is very, like, not free-to-play friendly. It has a lot of high-rarity cards spread across a bunch of different boxes. The deck can also be a bit finicky to play, so not a lot of people like to pick it up. So in Rush, it hasn't felt quite as problematic, I guess. But at, like, the higher end, a lot of people will tell you, oh, I don't like playing against Royal Rebels. I have to, like, change up how I'm doing everything. Whereas in Speed and Lyrilusk, that is a deck that is very free-to-play friendly. In my opinion, it's very easy to get the cards for it. It's very popular, like, from the show. There's lots of different builds from it. Like, there's the Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk deck, which I'm sure people are looking forward to playing in the future. True, it's time for some Salamangreat support. Yeah, bring back Salamangreat. The thing is, Salamangreat, I feel like it's been out of the meta for so long that just screw it, bring it back, make it unbelievably powerful again, but only keep it around for like 1 or 2 months and then nerf it again, right? I think that'd be fine. Just give it another time to shine. When decks... It's like, in my opinion, aggro was the most boring deck in Rush for so long. But it's been so long since aggro did anything, I actually think aggro's kind of cool again. Which is so weird to say, because this is a deck that for months and months and months was like, oh, he's playing aggro again. Oh, not aggro again. Oh, bro, play a different boss monster other than Dragius. But since it's sort of just fallen off the meta, it's back to being like a hipster deck. It's back to being, oh, this is kind of cool again. Hoping Light Machines gets power creep. Oh, that's the problem, Ursus. I don't think it will. It's hard to power creep a deck that does everything. And Light Machine, like the only negative of Light Machine is it doesn't plus very much. That's kind of it. And if we had all of the generic support cards, right? If we get Battle Demotion, that's just a generic defensive option for any machine deck. That is, if we get Cyber Serpent, that is a generic +1 draw for Light Machines. If we get Cyber Griffin, that's filtering and trap protection and a decent body just for any machine deck. Like, there are so many generic machine cards that I assume we'll get eventually that are all just going to strengthen Light Machine. It's like, it's so difficult to power creep it out, which is why I think if we want it gone, what we have to do is we have to hit it. We have to hit the skill, we have to hit it with more restrictions. If we don't do that, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Difference with Rush compared to Speed is decks stay relevant or more usable for longer, so the meta could feel more stale for longer. Yes. It's a weird one. I feel like no other decks had the kind of staying power that Machines has had, right? Like, if we go back pre-Machine, Harpies and Noodles. These were like the two best decks for a while. You could make an argument for Royal Rebels, and then like Overlord is already kind of fallen out of the meta a little bit. When this came out, like Cyburst was performing okay. Again, Noodle Ninjas are still here, Overlord is still here. These were kind of the big four decks of the time. Then when you like, advance forward again, Overlord is still kind of about, but it's only had one win. It's not topping that much realistically. This is basically a 2-deck format in Machine and Cyburst. And Cyburst even wasn't actually performing very well, like realistically, until Chaos Femtron came out, and then suddenly it was performing a lot better. I just think Machines, for me, is one of those decks that entirely because of Innovator is just going to keep sticking around. Cyburst, I think you could make Cyburst fall off very easily. If we just limit the Chaos Femtron, and if we take away the attack reduction on the skill, I think Cyburst falls off. I don't think it can keep up with the other decks. I think Cyburst as well, even if we don't do that, will eventually get power crept. Now, how long it will take for it to get power crept, that could be a while, but it will eventually get power crept until it gets more support later on. Wild Birds just takes longer, just takes one main box run. Exactly, it's very free to play. I see. I think that you have to hit the machine skill. When Maximum came, I was excited, and when I played, when I quickly decided I don't like playing Maximums. Yes, Maximums are weird. I think Yggdrago is a fun boss monster every now and then, but to play against it a lot is very frustrating. And what's more frustrating is you can sit there and you can play against a Cyburst player 10 games in a row, and they just will never summon Yggdrago. And you'll be like, okay, so I'm just playing against a non-Maximum deck, basically. And then you can play against a Cyburst player, and they'll drop it 10 games in a row against you. And you'll be like, okay, so I'm playing against a Maximum deck. And it's annoying because it can play on both axes, which is like the only interesting part of this deck. But because of that, you need to make sure you have outs to Maximums. And I think that's the thing that people don't like doing, is feeling like they're forced to play outs. A lot of the time you're like, can I get away without playing TSA? Can I get away without playing Tribute to the Doomed? And some of the decks can. Machines don't have to play either of those cards, because they have a boss monster that can just attack over an Yggdrago. They don't give a shit. But some of these other decks, they don't get those luxuries. Why Cyburst skill doesn't reduce by level like Thunder makes no sense. 800 is so odd a choice. I think they did it just to match the Overlord skill. I think they balanced the Overlord skill around minus 800 because that lets some of your bosses attack over, because you can get out like level 6 spellcasters, and then when you reduce, they become basically like 24, kind of like SAR. And then they just gave like symmetry. They just gave the other Maximum skill the same reduction. That's how it felt to me at the very least. Overall, Rush is fun though. They can play their cards at least. Yes, we don't have a ton of floodgates in Rush, The only real negative when we don't get to play the game in Rush tends to be one of two things. One, we don't have the out to our opponent's big maximum monster. That can suck. If your opponent slams down a turn 1 Yggdrago and you just don't have the out, the game is over. It might as well be a floodgate. If we also brick, like if you just draw a hand of boss monsters, the game is also over and you can't really play the game. Again, it's not a floodgate, but it's a thing that happens. You don't tend to brick as much in speed because you don't have to play a pile of boss monsters, right? So they're the downsides of Rush compared to speed, in my opinion. Damn, Gear Strike is seeing not representation, nor does Red Eyes. Yeah, Red Eyes got like a game, but I mean, it's arguable that we should just add the stat to the Blue Eyes anyway, because it's Red Eyes Monarch, which is basically the same thing. Buster Blader is seeing play, but it's seeing play in other decks, right? Like this aggro list had Buster Blader, and the Iceark was also playing Buster Blader. Yeah, Gear Strike is seeing like nothing. It saw very little play. Did you see any play here? No, it wasn't even out here, was it? No, yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't even out until here. Yeah, no, there have been no tops of Gear Strike yet. This is the biggest selling point for Rush in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't really have to... You don't really get to play your cards, and because of this, I predict Rush overall will last much longer. I think that's a bit of a hot take. Just because Rush is already smaller and already feeds a lot off of the main game in terms of like nostalgia cards. Rush is basically Yu-Gi-Oh! 2, right? If you... I know a lot of people won't like to hear this because they'll be like, oh, it's completely different. It's basically Konami said, alright, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gotten to the point where it's unrecognizable from what it used to be. It is a super high skill, unless you're like just mashing floodgates, right? But typically it's a very high octane, long combo turns, lots of play happening. Every little micro decision you make is extremely impactful. It is, in my opinion, the most complicated card game that exists. And they went, that's fine. We like having that. We also want I normal summon a guy and end the turn, right? So they were like, okay, we want that. We also want this. So that's why we have Rush. It is Yu-Gi-Oh! 2. And I think in doing so, they got to try and avoid making a lot of the mistakes they made from ECG, right? We have a lot less floodgates in the game, but we still do have some. And ironically, almost all of them have been hit or banned, right? So there is that. They tried to make the early boss monsters really stand out and still make them relevant. And again, Dragius is still good, right? Seven's Road Magician is still fine. Again, you're typically going to play those decks in like Seven's Wonder Fusion, but they still are seeing play. Now, Prima, less so. Prima's kind of a bit mid in the current game, in the modern game, the physical game. But Yami Ruler still does see a little bit of play in like Sky Saviors with Fusion. And we did also get some more Yami Ruler support recently, which did give it another like stint of playability, I suppose. Me getting God-handed by every Psychic player. Yeah. Psychic is probably the most polarizing deck right now in Rush Duel Links, just because if you draw the God Hand, nothing stops you from winning the game. You have won. If you don't draw the God Hand, you draw a crap hand, you can't do anything. You don't get to play the game yourself. So it's very weird. I see it can happen for anyone, I feel. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Yu-Gi-Oh! But balanced. I mean, it's more like trying to avoid the pitfalls you've already walked into rather than making it like hyper balanced, because Rush's balance has been pretty abysmal. Rush Duel Links' balance has been a lot better than the physical game. And then unbalanced by skills. No, it's the opposite, Badge. It is actually the opposite. The skills have added deck diversity and have allowed a lot more decks to be stronger when they wouldn't have otherwise been in the physical game. So like, it's a really weird dynamic. It's like Duel Links is them... So Rush Duel was them fixing the mistakes they made in TCG, and Duel Links is them fixing the mistakes they made in Rush Duel. It's so weird, but like, it kind of works. I was Battle Chronicle player on the ropes. I had Eclipse set ready to win in his next turn, and he top deck Spirit plays in OCG. Spirit of White. he had no cards in hand. I mean, that's also just going to happen. It's just going to happen. Although, do we have Floodgates in Rush? Not that they... although, we do have Floodgates in Rush, not that they're impactful. But Fire Barrier, seen played in... Alright. Fire... Barrier Statue of the Inferno was a card, at one point, saw almost 100% representation. It was a card that was so easy to summon, so easy to abuse, and so easy to use, that people would just slam it and everything. And especially when we got access to Legend Strike, which just lets you bring back a level 4 monster from your graveyard. Guess what? Barrier Statue's level 4. So you can just bring it back from the graveyard 3 times. So as long as you get it in the grave, you can effectively have it 4 times, which is so, so good. It's actually ridiculous. And then, you know, lesser extent, there's Vanity's Fiend, but it doesn't see as much play. And then the only other, like, big floodgate is the Sky Savior card that stops your opponent from activating spells that aren't exactly fusion. So, yeah. Meanwhile, Psychics is out here comboing my arse off. Exactly. Skills make the game much more interesting and varied. Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly, personally. I would love for the next mechanic to again be something Rush exclusive and not just adding the normal Yu-Gi-Oh. Now I want ritual summons. I want redesigned rituals. I've wanted this for so long. The issue is, if we talk about actual Rush unique things like mechanics, I would make an argument that it's maximum. I think no one's going to question that. Maximum is a unique Rush mechanic. The other thing is multi-choice effects and fusions, which is actually something they've been leaning away from. I actually thought multi-choice effects was a cool gimmick for Rush fusion monsters. And they've kind of stopped doing them, which I think is a bit disappointing, because I like multi-choice effects. I think it's cool. You cannot tell me Dragonic Resonance is balanced. Well, alright, let's take a look at this. It is currently here. This is almost the exact middle point on our tournament list, which means it is almost perfectly balanced, right? Kinda. If we squint at it, that's kind of what that means. Maybe rituals with a new form, but stop with the old mechs. Still the only banned card. Yes, Barrier Statue is the only banned card. Yeah, I want rituals that summon from the extra deck. That's what I want. We don't need Manju with 1,000 Hands and Sonic Bird and all that shit. Just give me ritual spells in the main deck, ritual monsters in the extra deck. That's it. That's all we need. For me, that's perfect. I like skills and duel links. I think Rush have designed them well. I think in speed, we've gone a bit too far. That's just fusions. No, it's not Manicist. It's not fusions. It's different. Because you have to send levels and not specific monsters. So it's different. It doesn't have to, like, you don't have to invent the wheel, right? Just put something else that's a bit different. That's all it is. That's all I want, right? It doesn't have to, we don't need, you know, parallel summoning. We don't need dimension summoning. Just give me rituals. Rituals are cool. It's the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. Maximum summoning is just Exodia. You need 3 specific cards to win the game. It's like Exodia, but you can out it if you get lucky, or if you just have the card already on the field, I guess. Not really, because they don't win the game immediately, and you can use the pieces on their own. Yeah, that's one of the other cool things, right? Like, how often do you summon like Exodia's right arm and smack someone to death with it? At the start, of course. I mean, they are redesign Exodia. In my mind, I always thought of Maximums as a cross between Exodia and an Egyptian God card. Because Egyptian God cards, at least in the show, had a bunch of, like, immunities. They had a bunch of protections built in. They were 3 tribute cards. Like, a Maximum is a 3-piece card. It was kind of like, it's kind of that. And I kind of like that, personally. We'll get ritual summoning from Graveyard, though Fusion's got them. I mean, from Graveyard would be cool as well. You're basically saying you don't want them to ever make Fusion archetype that cares about levels, because you want rituals to be in the extra. Same for ritual. What? I'm confused. What Fusion archetypes care about levels? Is that even a thing? I could be wrong. There could just be a deck I don't know about. I've never heard of a fusion archetype that cares about levels. Like, there might be, like, a random-ass monster that says, like, this needs, like, a level 5 or higher something. But, like, outside of that, I cannot think of an archetype that uses levels in fusion. If you're facing Maximum Ragnarok, how do you play around his Maximum Summoning? Because he will OTK you. Well, Maximum Ragnarok typically won't OTK you because he can only really do about 4,000 damage a turn. So you just kill it with a Tribute to the Doom during Talismanic Sealer, right? If we're talking about, like, you've already taken damage, yeah, you've already taken damage. There's not really much you can do about that. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Divine Archetypes would be funny. Also, we have Xyz's cameo already. The next logical step is Synchros. They're basically Contact Fusion, but there'll be like a blank slate that doesn't use the whole roster of support. Do you have them in Duel Links? Yeah, so if a monster says 2 level 7 monsters, it's a ritual. That is a stretch, my friend. That is a huge stretch. Between just like send monsters that are like level 8 stars worth of monsters from your field to the graveyard to like this fusion, which is again very hyper specific, needs 2 level 7 or higher monsters. You've now just invented like a 14-star ritual, which is weird. I personally think they're 2 completely different things. In my opinion as well, what is the difference, realistically, between a Fusion, a Synchro, and an Xyz? Like, there's very, very, very small differences. All of them are summoned from the extra deck. 2 of them are summoned... Like, let's take Fusions out of the equation, because you can summon from the hand. An Xyz and a Synchro monster, just one is adding numbers together, and one is making sure the numbers are the same. Other than that, you take 2 cards on the field, sometimes more, you slap them on top of each other or put them in the graveyard, and a guy comes out. There is, again, by your example, there is functionally no difference between an Xyz and a Synchro. So why do they both exist? The point is, they can have subtle differences that make them interesting and unique. And in the same way, I would like rituals to come out and have subtle differences to make them different to fusion monsters. I rest my case. The baseball guy and the home run dragon. Yes, we have Utopia. I'm trying to think what their even names are. It's Utopia. I don't know if they have like a... Do we not... Wait, do these have Utopia in their name? Do we not have the baseball cards in here yet? We've got some of them. We've got Achachakacha, Gagaga Outfielder, and Zubababata. What was it? It was Home Run. Home Run's one of them. I know Home Run's one of them. There we go. Here they all are. So we have Captain 39, Home Plate Pinch Hitter. We have Player 39, Home Run Hitter. And we have Player 99, Grand Slam Dragon. Well, let's try and catch up with this again. Ah, Stream Chat. Wait, why is Stream Chat now here? What have we done to this? Let's get rid of that. Alright, let's come over here. This will be easier. So... Oh man, there's so much chat. Archfiend Black Skull Dragon wants specifically level 6. There we go, there's one. I forgot the name. The Xyz is considered a rank. I don't know why they decided that it's a rank, not a level. They could erase it and make it a level, I don't know. I think it's fine. Like, having those small nuanced differences are what makes them interesting and unique, and I think that's completely fine. A lot in the name. Are there any gimmicks they could use as mechanics from the single-player games from the 90s? Oh. I mean, never say never, but I don't know. Okay, but rituals aren't an extra deck mechanic. If you put them in there, you essentially turn them into a mechanic too similar to another to stand out as a unique one. Congratulations! You have just described Xyz summoning! It's not different enough from Synchro to matter! Therefore, my point stands! But it being rank and not level makes for unique interactions. Yes. No, I think they have a number. Captain 39, etc. Number 39, Hope Hitter. We have, you know, Home Run Hitter. Rise Up, number 39, Utopia, Rising Sun Slash. Yeah, do we have them in Duel Links yet? No, we do not have them in Duel Links yet. But they should be coming out soonish, right? Character would be in the next story arc for 7s, but I doubt we will get the character. Xyz is one of my favourite extra deck mechanics. Except Synchros use tuners and Xyz don't have levels. So no, they're similar because they come from the extra, but different. But that's... that's what I'm saying. If you had ritual monsters from the extra deck, they'd be similar, but different. I don't know how this is so hard for you to grasp, Manicus. Come on, brother. It's exactly the same. It's a similar mechanic that come from the same place, but it's not exactly the same. This shouldn't be this complicated. Same name, but different. I mean, basically. I love Xyz. I tried to climb stage 2 with it, and I got a bit annoyed. Stage 2, oh, I did so well. No, because they'll just be fused. Oh, Manicus, I can't tell if you're just an idiot now. This is getting weird. Like, no, because his other thing isn't an argument. Link are contact fusion, but generic. I mean, kind of. Like, when you really break it down, a lot of the mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are all very similar to each other, right? Like, a continuous spell and a field spell. There isn't, like, a ton of difference between the two, right? But they are subtle differences between them, and that allows it to... allow them to thrive, right? I think you don't have to have two cards that are completely different, right? You don't need... oh, this has to be on one end of the spectrum, and this has to be on the complete other end of the spectrum. Otherwise, they're exactly the same. It's like, no, you can have small changes. You can have nuances between different cards, and that is completely fine, right? What I don't understand is when someone says, like, this is a normal monster with 1500 attack. This is an effect monster with 1500 attack. These are exactly the same. It's like, no, there are subtle differences. This one has an effect. This one doesn't. This is a different type. This one's a different attribute. This one has... you know, different attack or different defense value, right? They're not the same just because they have one thing in common. And it just seems really pedantic to be like, no, but they come from the same place, so they're exactly the same. There's no difference. It's like, no, that's not what that means at all. We're all idiots. We are still playing this game. I mean, you are exactly right. I see you. I foresee you. Also, welcome on in. They both require a spell to summon them from the extra. They both require specific materials. Ritual need to stay in the main so they aren't too similar. Right, so the issue with rituals, and this is the issue that rituals have always had since they very first came out. Because you have to accumulate a ritual spell and a ritual monster and the material to actually get it out, they're always a massive minus. And you can make the same argument for fusions, but fusions got a lot of tools to allow you to fuse them in very interesting ways. We can contact fuse, we can miracle fuse from the graveyard, we can summon out fusions in all these weird different ways. The way that rituals have kind of got around this for the most part is they just have a bunch of cards that just put rituals in your hand, right? There's just Sonic Bird, there's just Manju, there's just Senju, there's just all the other cards that are basically the same as them. There's pre-prep, there's prep. There's just all these cards that just stick a load of shit in your hand. Now, none of that really works very well in Rush. Just full stop. Because we don't have searching. So now we're talking about just a ton of excavating, or we have to find a way to turbo them into the graveyard and get them back into our hand. So already we're looking at like a really awkward and clunky mechanic. But if we summon them from the extra, we alleviate so many problems that ritual monsters have, right? Because the biggest downside for me with rituals is for the longest time, pretty much until like Drytron, probably, most of a ritual's main deck was just ritual monsters, ritual spells, and then the same ritual support. It was just all, you know, 3 Senju, 3 Sonic Bird, 3 Manju, X, Y, Z, everything else that just kind of goes in there, right? So I don't think they would release it wholeheartedly the exact same way as they did in the TCG, because again, they can see the problems of the previous version of the game and they can fix them, right? That's how I see it, right? It's how you make them work in the main. I guess drawing 5 makes it easier to always have both the spell and ritual at the same time. I mean, again, kind of, but sometimes it can be hard just to get the fusion material together. I am now building Shark deck. Now field spell used to be affect the game board, and now can only one field spell on the board until they change the mechanic. Tachyon and Photon already struggled in this meta, but with Eclipse, it's even worse. I mean, a lot of decks, though, I think are going to struggle into Eclipse, right? But isn't there a Ritual-inspired deck in the Souls Jersey BLS? Yes, but it's more of like a gimmick. It's more of like a reference than like an actual, like, serious thing. I already proven I can't read last night. I mean, most of us can't. That's just how it goes. So everything is equal. We all come or came from the same planet in the same universe. I also want to play Borrowlink. Borrowlink might be an actual fun meta deck. I want Borrowlink to go away. I think Borrowlink's been around for too long, personally. What about Evolution? In Battle of the Great Duelist, you have a gimmick where, for example, Petite Moth and its stages evolve. That is one thing. I think if we just talk about like Petite Moth in general, the idea to have a thing that evolves from stage to stage to stage to stage is a cool idea, and I think would work as a new summoning mechanic. It's how do you make it feel good? That's always going to be the problem, right? Because I think, again, you don't want to fill your deck with all the bits, so again, that all just goes to the extra deck. And if you're having multiple different stages of this, like, evolution, then it's like, how much space can we afford to give it in the extra? I guess, in a weird way, we kind of have that in TCG with, like, ranking up Xyz monsters. Because that's kind of like them evolving, right? Their level goes up, they become like a sea monster, or they become like a, you know, in the terms of Utopia, it gets all these different, like, different forms and stuff. Should rituals get a spell like Neos Fusion? What, just use the graveyard as their ritual material? It's a bit weird. I mean, they could do whatever they wanted, right? Even though Dragon Link package. Okay, Tomato, how would you make Synchros easier to summon? But again, I'm not trying... Manakist, why? Bro, what's... Manakist is like... I don't even know. He's like, he's becoming a terror. We're not... I'm not trying to fix Synchros. Alright, let me rephrase this. Are you saying... Are you asking me how to... put Synchro... How I would put Synchros into Rush? Is that what we're saying? You're gonna have to clarify that. What do you think, Dwan? Not making the level or acquire a relevant point, just a tuner and another monster. I mean, it's one of those things where, again, I personally don't think there is much difference between any of the summoning mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh! They're all very, very similar. All of them do things with monsters, monsters go away, new guy comes out of extra deck, the end. Right? That's kind of all of them. So, like, in my opinion, there isn't a big difference between them. And I think it's very minor, the changes between them. Those changes are still very important, and that's what differentiates them. And I think they're very cool. But I still think there's not a huge difference between any of them. Right? That's my opinion. We'll just switch to Sunboro as part of the meta for too long. So level monsters. I mean, level monsters are also cool. Tomato, quick question. Light Machine, Dark Machine, or Earth Machine? Always Earth for me. I love Earth Machines. Then Dark Machines. Then Light Machines. I do like Light Machines. But aesthetically, I've always preferred like the Bandit Keith, like Dark Machines. And like the Join Tech, like Earth Machines. And also, I really like all of the Earth Machine decks. I've always really liked Trains. I've always really liked... what are they called? Like the big Earth Machine deck. Infinitrack. Not in general, but people chose the just a way to make Synchros more easy. Contact Fusion need monsters. Synchros usually a lot of cards that can special summon in extenders. You don't change how a mechanic works fundamentally, you change its accessibility. Ritual should stay main, but they should be reinvented. They should just be effect monsters that you can ritual. But, so, alright. I'm going to say two things about that, Manicus, right? So, one, I think the idea to have ritual monsters that can be used as regular monsters, but also can be ritual summoned, is a really cool idea. I think that's awesome. That, to me, sounds like what they did with Maximums, where they went, okay, you can use the pieces to do stuff, or you can just, you know, use it as a piece to Maximum summon. I think that's a really cool idea. I do think, though, you have just reinvented the mechanic, and therefore have just done what you said you didn't want to do. So I think it's kind of at odds with itself there. But I agree. I think that would be a cool idea. That makes them not bricky, but keeps the mechanic intact. I think the mechanic has now drastically changed by doing that. but I think that's a really cool idea. Tomato! Hello, Cyclone Valley. Welcome, welcome. One day, Konami will fix Synchro Summon conditions if they feel it is needed. They did it before with XEs, for example. What did they do with XEs? What did they change with XEs? Am I missing something? Am I forgetting something? The difference is more cool colored cards. I mean, that's what it all really comes down to. What I really like is just having, like, when Master Duel first came out, and I got to play my Fluffle deck, and I could sit there on an end board that had like a Link monster, an Xyz monster, a Fusion monster, a Synchro monster. That just felt cool. Like, there's just something cool about having like all the colors of the rainbow just slapped across your board. And I think that's one of the really cool parts of the game, is having all these different summoning mechanics and be able to mix them together. And I think that's why I like Arc V so much, because they focus on all the different summoning mechanics. I think that's a really, really cool thing. And why, I guess, like, when we went back to Vrains, and they went back to focusing on one. Now, obviously, there are more summoning mechanics in Vrains. I'm not trying to say there's only Link. But where it goes back to focusing only on Link, I think that was a bit less interesting for me personally. Crystron's got me into machines. I mean, Crystron's are cool. I like the Crystron's. What if I'm colorblind? I'm now a machine enjoyer. Skill issue. Oh, nice. Yeah, they are vanilla without the ritual. We already working on the next monster type after Link Summon. I mean, again, I think it's cool to speculate this sort of thing. I think it's cool to theory craft, like, what potentially could come out and what we would design as being really cool. Note Rush exclusive. Example, Zodiac, if you needed multiple monsters to Xyz. Zodiac, yeah, is a very good idea. Is a very good option, right? There's a lot of guys, I guess, that do a similar thing. Like, I mean, Ding is probably, like, the most popular. Obviously, there's a lot of the Utopia ones you could just like kind of slap on top of each other. Zeus is probably the most popular, but obviously isn't in Duel Links. No, because you need a ritual spell to use them. Just a ritual monster. It's not changing how you ritual summon them, or if they get stored somewhere else. I think that is now an argument of semantics. I don't think it matters one way or the other. I think you could quite easily say you change the mechanic, or you could not. Again, I think that's a semantic problem. Dark Tuners never had a chance to blossom in 5D's era, so maybe it will in Rush. What was Dark Tuners, right? Alright, it's been a very long time since I've watched 5Ds. But I remember them having, like, negative level monsters. Right? It's a weird one. But Arc V, Pendulum related, so it's the black sheep of Yu-Gi-Oh! It was still a cool series. Now, again, that 5Ds dimension, that Synchro dimension, did go... It's a bit slow, pacing a bit off, but, you know, we still love it. If Arc V removed Pendulum and focused all on summoning mechanics, then it's a good anime, in my opinion. I mean, yeah. Pendulum is a weird one. I think Pendulum, like... The potential was there, executed poorly. That's my opinion on Pendulum. I love machines, dragons, and heroes mostly. I hope we get heroes in Rush. I like that idea. Yeah, I think, again, I think Manikist's idea of having ritual monsters in the main deck, but have them be able to use when they're not just a ritual monster that's a brick in your hand, is a good idea. I think that's a really cool idea. I like that idea so much. I think Konami should do that. I think that's cool. Dark Tuners... Also, welcome on in Quantum. Dark Tuners were in Tag Force. So, am I misremembering, right? But did they not have monsters in 5Ds that were basically like Xyz monsters, but they weren't Xyz monsters? They were like Dark Synchro monsters or something? They were negative level monsters. So, do they exist? Are they cards that we can have? Because weren't they also like black cards? Or am I just, again, incepting that into my own memory there? Synchros and Xyz would be cool in Rush. My idea was to make every ritual spell summon from grave or hand. Make every ritual spell summon from grave or hand. Oh, so you mean, like, you would effectively get to use... You always have to use material from, like, the field, for example. Because it's Rush, they're going to do it, like... You always have to use from field. They won't let, like, use from hand. But then you can summon the monster from the grave or from your hand. So I think that's a cool idea as well. I think I do prefer Manikist's idea. I think in terms of like my ranking of how I would like them, I think I like main deck, but it's like a maximum where you can use it, whatever. Then extra deck. Then you can ritual from the graveyard. I think that's like my order of how I like them. But I don't think any of them are bad ideas. I love pendulums. It feels really cool. Pendulum is so bricky. I want to add onto Manicus idea. They could make it like... I don't know if you use them with the ritual spell. You get an added bonus. Read anime 100 Eyes Dragon. Do we... Alright. Alright, let's go. Let's look up 100 Eyes Dragon. We're Googling now. 100 Eyes Dragon. This should have... Oh, is this going to have the anime version on it? That's the next question. So I don't know why we've come to this one. This is actually the worst wiki. This one should have the anime link somewhere, right? English set, search categories. Go on, give me an anime link. Give me an anime link. Here we go. Alright. Oh, look at this bad boy. -8 level. Dark Synchro Monster. In order to special summon this card, subtract the level of a Dark Tuner monster from the level of one other monster you control. The value must equal the level of this card. This card gains the monster's effects of all dark monsters in your graveyard. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, select one card from your deck and add it to your hand. That sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good. They just hate Pendulum because Yu-Gi-Oh! Started getting Tier 0 over Tier 0 format. I think the Master Rule where Pendulum came out was very flawed. And I don't think that helped things. Pendulums were basically busted when they came out. And I think that was a problem. Let him cook. I'd like to say I think rituals do not need to be changed in the way they are, but I would like to see more rituals, maybe due to the way we special them. Now, Quantum's idea is an evolution of ritual spells themselves. By the same logic, we can just add Necro-style effects to all rituals and that'd fix them. So the reason I like ritual summoning from the graveyard the least is just because, to me, that's like a gimmick of a ritual deck. It's like, oh, these ritual monsters can be ritualed from the graveyard. Almost like Revendread, I guess. Although I haven't actually played Revendread, so I don't really know exactly how like they work. But that's kind of how I see them. Like, oh, we get the zombie rituals back from the graveyard sort of thing, right? Yeah, there is a Dark Synchro archetype, but not in the anime. It's called Asarctic. Sonic Heroes based. I mean, yeah, we always love the Sonic Heroes music. Oh, wait. Black and Level on the left side. They are Xyz's prototype. In Rush Duel, you summon Limitless Dark Tuners. Well, you summon Limitless Dark Tuners would be pretty neat. It'd actually be a +1 instead of minus, which is funny. Only other thing is you can do with ritual spells is make them use materials from grave. Again, that's more of an evolution of the spells. Again, I think they could do whatever they want, Manicus. Konami have the ability to do literally whatever they want, however they want to. So we can speculate all we want, but at the end of the day, they're going to do whatever they want. And if they want to put rituals in, they'll put them in however they want to, right? I just would like rituals to just not be a bricky mess. And in my experience, rituals have always been very cookie cutter. You always play like the same main deck. You always end up playing the same like generic ritual support cards. And I want to just avoid that. No matter how we avoid that, I don't think it matters too much. I think we just want to avoid it. That is the be all end all. Like with fusions, we do also run into a lot of the same problems where you need to get these 3 very specific cards. We have to make sure we can get 2 of them out onto the field. We need to be able to activate the fusion spell. And in more recent, in the more recent Rush physical meta, they've kind of leaned into, oh, we'll just give everyone a Miracle Fusion. Don't worry about it. And I think that's very boring. I don't want that. I want them to enable us using the mechanic as it's intended, or change the way the mechanic works, rather than put a band-aid over it, right? Just keep putting band-aids over the problem, I think is bad for the game, personally. You copy all of the Dark Monster's effects in your graveyard, because yes, and then add whatever card you want to your deck to your hand, which is fine. And then if you're able to bring it back, and it dies again, you just get to keep adding cards again and again and again, which seems completely fine to me. Just the very first card you add is Monster Reborn, bring it back, and you're like, okay, we're good to go again. I just need Rush DDDs or their little thematic brothers, Blaze Fiends. I mean, we'll get Blaze Fiends eventually, right? They can even do more in Duel Links, simply creating a skill. I mean, yeah, basically. But I think we were more theory crafting how it's going to... what new mechanic could be released. Because the other thing is, it's hard to even think what brand new mechanic could come out. And do we actually think we're going to get Synchro Summons in Rush Duel? Because it's a weird one. I don't think Synchros would be bad in Rush Duel. But it just seems a bit weird, I guess. Maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe it'd just be fine. They can even do on Duel Links. Tomato, do you feel Konami have not capitalized on digital formats? And what I mean is they could errata problematic cards and make Duel Links exclusive cards. Well, one, they already have Duel Links exclusive cards. Two, we have already errated a lot of bird effects, so we have kind of done a lot of that. But three, I think Konami want to keep the game as recognizable as possible, and that means keeping a lot of the cards the same. So, I also really like the idea of having a monster that evolves. Yeah, we could definitely do that. I think that would be a cool idea. I mean, it does not have the problem of physical, even suggestion we can made. Yeah, but don't forget, Konami usually compresses and like pushes all of the products to match TCG, OCG products, even plushies. So any gimmick that we'll get next year has to do with TCG and OCG. Are we talking about Rush TCG OCG? Synchros to me were the star of monster spamming. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these synchro archetypes are very like spam, right? It wouldn't be bad, but that's for some people, like the point where they checked out of the main game. If you keep I mean, yeah, a lot of people I think did drop Yu-Gi-Oh! During the synchro era. I think more people probably dropped it in the XEs era though. Because that was when we had like a lot of tier 0 formats. And that's also when Cardfight Vanguard released and then started stealing a lot of players. If you keep adding speed gimmicks to Rush, then eventually you will have two versions of speed gimmicks. I mean, yeah, but if they're done well, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. The Synchro and XCs are a bad crowd. Exactly, that's why it should be Rush exclusive. Wait, do you mean the level monsters? No, I mean something new. They all fucking suck. I mean, the idea of level monsters is cool. It was, again, the implementation that sucked, right? All we can do is wait for the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Series and hope it's Rush and then introduce something new there. Yeah, I just hope that they don't do a Go Rush again. Because Go Rush, like, early Go Rush is painful to watch. Like, it's so slow. They introduce a bunch of vanilla monsters. They teach you what a normal summon is for, like, a whole episode. And it's like, can we just not? Can we just, like, skip through this? Like, I get the show is designed so that kids can watch it. I get this is a glorified advert to sell your cards. But, come on, we can teach people, like, all of the basic mechanics in one episode. We don't need to spend an entire 20-minute episode per mechanic, right? 100 Eyes Dragon copies Ultimate Falcon's effect. The question is, though, would 100 Eyes Dragon... like, could you put it in as, like, a skill in Duel Links and not be busted? That's the question. Do we have... we still have not have it in the West now. Yes, can't wait for Rush haters to cry because I do love the Rush anime. Rush anime is cool. I think, again, episode by episode, the Rush anime can get a bit repetitive. It can get a bit simplistic. The overall, like, story arcs of, like, the characters and each of the, like the villains, the way they get introduced and everything, I think is actually really good, personally. Starting with Zero Gym again. Can you explain what is Galaxy Summon or Galactic Summon? I have no idea what you're talking about, Skywings. Galaxy Monsters is a monster type. I don't know what a Galaxy Summon is. As far as I'm aware, that is not a real thing. I think do something more grown up, kind of like 5Ds of Reigns. So I am on board with that, Manicist, because I am a grown-ass man, and that would appeal to me. I wonder, though, because I feel like Konami are trying to appeal to kids. And if they do that, it won't appeal to the kids as much. Like, it's a weird one. Because, again, Pokemon went through a similar thing where they released the Sun and Moon anime that was basically for children, and everyone hated it. Well, I say that. A lot of people hated it. Especially because it had just come off of one of the most mature arcs for Ash Ketchum that he'd been on. He had just qualified, like, he did really well in a tournament. He was, like, had a romantic relationship going on. And then, all of a sudden, with, like, the snap of your fingers, Ash is, like, back to being, like, a 10-year-old kid again. And he's a goofy cartoon kid. And he's in school again. And it was like, what's going on? This tonal whiplash is so strange. So again, I would love for them to do a more serious one. I don't know if they will. This is an 800 attack normal monster. That's how you summon that. I say, oh yeah? I didn't know what they do that again in Rush. Also, hello, Quick. Welcome. I didn't know why they do that again in Rush. Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird. Something like that doesn't exist. Galaxy is just a new monster type, like Machine. Yeah, basically that. I think he is trolling about the anime. Okay. I think I'd mixed up with something. Maybe you watched too much Pokemon. Haha. So, that's the thing, right? I, personally, don't watch the Pokemon anime. As a kid, I watched all of Kanto and all of Johto. Then I stopped watching it. I didn't watch anything after that. Then, I would go back after the series had finished and watch the Elite Four because I love tournament arcs, right? I am a sucker for tournament arcs. I mean, that probably tells you why I'm big into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is basically a bunch of tournament arcs, right? So I'll go back and watch just the Elite Four. So I got to watch just the end of the Pokemon anime that came out before Sun and Moon. What was it? What came out before that? X and Y? So I got to watch like the end of that, just basically the Elite Four, and I enjoyed watching that. I thought, again, the Elite Four, well, I guess Elite Four, the Pokemon League, not the Elite Four, because they're not always there. And there is the adverts again, so we'll just wait for that. We'll just wait for the ads to go away again. Oh, while we're waiting for ads, so I've been yapping for so long, we're just going to wet the whistle. But, do you think Konami is focusing on the next generation as most of their initial fan base are now older? I think that everyone that already plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably all that's going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a really hard game to start playing. It's already enfranchised. There's 20 years of history. There's 20 years of power creep and, like, different cards, right? It's not a rotating format. It's mechanics on top of mechanics. It's got mechanic creep. It's so complex compared to like every other card game. Not a lot of, I guess, like skills translate from any other card game into the current TCG. So I think it's really hard to get new players. So I think they're trying to just appeal to just everyone else, right? And for the most part, kids are going to be the best way to do that. That's everyone's bread and butter. I mean, just look at Pokemon, right? Pokemon is something that appeals to everyone. Like, the card game still appeals to kids, it still appeals to adults. The anime still appeals to kids, still appeals to adults. So, like, you know, there's that. Now Rush is sadly trademarked for children, so another anime for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably going to happen within 2 years. Wonder why that level 1 Galaxy Normal is a level up reward for Udius. I mean, they have to give him something, right? A lot of them are a bit naff. A lot of the level up rewards aren't great. Of course, I think there's a way to make both happy. I binged the Pokemon anime, and I do think Sun and Moon anime is very, very underwhelming. Yeah, I mean, right, again, I didn't watch any of... What did I watch? Alright, so in Sun and Moon, I watched one battle, and it was between Brock and someone, I can't remember who Brock fought against, but he had a Steelix. And I remember watching just that one fight, and I was like, the battle animation is sick, right? I actually adored the animation of like two Pokemon having a fight. Everything else I just did not like. Aesthetically, it's just not very pleasing to look at. X and Y had the best style in all the Pokemon series. They should have just made Ash win during that time. I mean, we did though get the Contest of Champions, whatever it was called, in Sword and Shield, and that was sick. Seeing all the champions come back is some of the best anime content, because it's like 20 years of like build up, right? You get to see like Lance fight, you get to see Cynthia, you get to see Steven, get all the champions from all the different games come back and just have a knockout tournament, and I love that shit. Like tournament arcs at their peak, right? I remember my first deck I loved in Yu-Gi-Oh! Come on, what are we doing? Also, why have we got answers again? Let's skip this one. I like the song, but like, let's get some Crash Bandicoot instead. I was playing Stairway to the Destined Duel, and I had a fairy deck with some flip summon monsters. I used cards like Solar Purity and Light. Solar Purity and Light's a cool early boss monster. I do quite like it. I watched over 50 episodes of Sun and Moon. Just cannot continue further, but they make Ash win the Elite Four. Yeah. But because of that, he gets to take part in the big tournament in Sword and Shield, so I guess there's that. They 100% going to give Udius a skill, with the slime being a requirement of part of it. I mean, they could do. I don't know if I want that. I think it was called Worldwide Edition. There's our Utopia cards again. Sun and Moon in general is so bad. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I mean, I didn't mind the games. Like, it's not my favorite Pokemon games by any stretch, but I think now they should focus anime for Rush and Kid in general, while they can focus other media for adult like manga and games for Master Rule. Tomato Yap and do your Rush duels for awards. What do I have to do? Also, apparently I just left this on an auto duel. Because we can yap while we do that, that's fine. I don't even know what I have to do for the rewards. Is it PvP? Do I have to do PvP? Is that what you're telling me? I mean, Go Rush had more confirmed deaths than any other Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime ever. Did it? I don't think it does. We've had a lot of people disappear. That's not the same thing. My favourite field spell is Luminous Spark. One is PvP, the rest is just any Go Rush, so it can be auto. Where is it? Is it the countdown bonus or something? Play 1 Rush duel in PvP, surrenders not count. Play 3 Rush. Maybe we got all the time in the world. Why do they do this now? Alright, let's, God, I don't even know what a good auto battle deck's going to be for this. Now, by the way, Tomato, will you check out the new Pokemon TCG game? Yes, Pokemon Pocket. I'm going to check it out. I don't know if I'm going to do anything more than that. I probably won't stream it or make a video on it, but I will play it. That is my plan currently. 7 Rush Duel PvP. 1 PvP rest can be NPC. Weirdest fact ever. Nope, because those people say it's only for little kids. Fluff. I can't fluffle Rush, Kim Friend. That's not how that works. I wish I could. Christ, I don't know. We'll just use this probably. What's this? No, not using that. Not this. That'd do. That looks auto-duel friendly. I haven't had to auto-duel in a long time. I don't think it's going to matter. Tribute boost. Jesus Christ. Alright, we'll just leave that auto-dueling. Better to do something earlier so you don't miss the gems now. We're going to need 500k or something. What? Do we mean 50k? I hope it's not 500k. Is this rush, rank, or speed rank? We have to play a rush ranked game. I don't even think I need to win, so we can just, like, do whatever, I guess. It's one of those weird ones where I want to play speed as well, right? But I kind of have to end the stream at some point, so I don't know if it's worth starting speed. What we can do, though, if anyone has any replays they want us to watch, we can definitely watch some replays. I know that some people were talking about replays earlier. You're right, it's almost closer to 1 million K for the new world. Oh no. I don't want 1 million K. Run Vulcan with avian spell tactics? I mean, that would be kind of based. Alright, I'll throw this out while we're doing these PvE games. Does anyone have any replays they want us to watch? And if they do, just like, you know, say something in chat and I'll go and have a look. And if anyone needs my friend code, I can grab that as well. I'm so poor after opening 2 times the big box. Why Rush gonna have 2 boxes? Because Konami really like money. And the best way to get you to spend money is to give you so much content that you cannot physically just get it all with gems. Yeah, if you watch the show in Japan, sometimes they cut out the ending for some popular comedian in Japan. They are cringe, but the famous among kids. Well, I'm glad I don't do that. I have an interesting replay on my second to last replay on the list. Okay, we'll check that out in a bit. Oh man, look at the aggro deck go. It's crazy. That was what, 3 games? Let's go to game 4. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know what we're... Alright, for me, for my wish list, Ancient Gear structure. Other structure I don't really care. If it's a Metarion structure, I'd be fine with that. If it's a hero structure, I'll be fine with that. If it's a, I don't know, galaxy structure, I'll be fine with that. I don't think there's much I would really be disappointed with in terms of like the new structures. And I think it probably does make sense for one of the boxes to be a like a rush box, a fusion box and a go rush box. Like, to me, that makes sense. I'm hoping the structure for one is fusion spellcaster and one for go rush galaxy. The problem, it's not really a problem. My point, I would say to that is, what exclusives would you put in them? Because you've got to put exclusives in, right? So are you saying you would like, for example, Seven's Paladin to be a structure deck exclusive and not be in the box? And then, like, what galaxy cards would you even put in as, like, exclusive structure deck cards? Like, maybe something like the Transimi Rhinax support? I mean, potentially. Yeah, Paladin. So you'd probably, what, and then I assume Roadstar would also be a unique one. Because they've said 1 free. Did they actually say 1 free? Is that actually confirmed anyway? Like, is that... Does it 100... Are we 100% getting a Seven's Paladin for free? Oh, you mean the structure deck? Is that what we're referring to? So if we think about Fusion being free... Yeah, 1 structure deck's free. Okay. Well, we're also getting 2 structures. So does that mean we're getting 1 of each structure free? Get 1 of each of the new structure decks for free. Okay, so we're getting 1 of each of them for free. But does that mean free, then we're going to get 1 with gems, then we'll have to buy 1? Because that means we're still going to have to buy 2 structures, right? Yeah, so it would make sense to give people a playable fusion deck and old support. That's kind of why I think the Metarion deck does make some sense, especially if they have a history of releasing like the secret characters or whatever. We just had a Sidra structure deck, so we're getting... So are we getting more? We're going to be getting Cyber End. That's the only thing we guarantee know we're getting yet. We've just been playing at Cyber. I don't want another Cyber deck, personally. I think releasing 2 Cyber Dragon structure decks would be really weird. I don't have a Vulcan deck already made. That's sad. Okay, that's fine for now. Alright, let's go to our friends. No, the old one. Ah, right. Because the JP doesn't say new, but latest. God, I really hope not, after people have just gone out of their way to buy it. That would be a big kick in the teeth. Alright, second to bottom. Second to bottom. Let's check out the replay. Let's see what we got here. Also going to skip past this. The music's too, like, somber. Right, this is maybe a bit too high octane, but... Oh boy! Are we about to watch Cubics? As we just see the Quantum Cubes himself. Cubic Seeds. Right, real quick, before we do anything, I need to read this skill. At the beginning of the duel, add 3 V-Jam the Cubic Seed to your deck. This skill will only activate if you begin a duel with a deck that follows the conditions below. The number of spell traps in the deck that are not cubic is 6 or lower. The only monsters in your deck and extra deck are cubic monsters. That is very, very, very specific. Set 3. Set 4. Oh boy, it's the trap monster deck. Right, what is this? Cannot be destroyed by battle. At the end of the damage step, this card battled an opponent's monster. You can place this card face up in your spell trap card zone as a continuous spell card, and if you do, place 1 cubic counter on the opponent's monster. They can't attack and their effects are negated. I assume this is an effect like the alien cards, where if you don't have a monster with this effect on it, it doesn't work. If this card is treated as a continuous spell card as effect during the main phase, you can switch on this card. Okay. And now we're just in a stall fest. I really hope it's 2 new boxes and structures, but it's likely they're referencing the other new instruction we got. If we wait for them to update the text to be more legible... Oh no, Cubic Stall. I played Cubic IRL. It's an odd deck. I had already stopped playing the physical game when this came out, so this is all new to me. Cubic Karma. Gets to add that. Cubic Casualty. So this already has a cubic counter on it. We're revealing just a bunch of cubic cards, and then we're summoning out Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. My entire experience with these cards is literally the movie, by the way. So, cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand by revealing 3 other cubic cards from your hand with different names. Cannot be special summoned other ways. Unaffected by other monsters' activated effects, whose original attack is 3,000 or less. When this attacking card destroys a monster by battle, you can activate this effect. This card can make a second attack during the battle phase. During your end phase, each player takes 1,500 damage. Well, it sounds like the duel's about to end. I'm assuming that's not going to happen, though. Deep Grave. We're going to burn both players for 15. Deep Grave brings it back. We attack, activates Tiki Soul. So we're just going to clear both. Then we're going to burn. Okay. Has the Quantum tournament up. You know we got to play in the Quantum event. We can't not. It'd be rude not to. Thank you, by the way, Manicust, for letting us know. I do appreciate it, my friend. What? I looked away for a second just to sign up to this tournament after like nothing had happened for turn after turn after turn. Now there's a Slife for the Sky Dragon on the field. Replays? I can share my KCC replay? Yeah, go for it, Dwan. I don't know if you're friends with this account. This is Tomato Sauce, if you can find us. Otherwise, we'll post a friend request in a sec. Friend code. Tiki Soul. What? I was just not ready for Slifer. Malevolent Sin comes down. Activates Sin. Cubic Seed's going to give it a nice little cubic counter. Cubic Ascension. Use Oleanoids. Bring back, and then that's also going to get a lovely cubic counter and lose its effect and go down to 0 attack. These are 2 of the decks of all time. There's another Egyptian god! Bro's just playing trap monsters and gods. That's the whole deck. Did we just actually Divine Wrath Obelisk the Tormentor? That is so funny. This is a real ranked game. What rank was this, by the way? I'm actually curious. Is this like silver or is this like cog? Well, we have Ra's Disciple. Mystic Box. We're just going to keep giving our opponent Ra's Disciple. Cubic Karma. Well, we can't summon it because our field is clogged up. Statue of Anguish pattern. 4 cards versus 5 cards. Quantum Cat. Quantum is just always making an appearance. If it's not his deck, he's just on the other field. We got Kachi Kochi. Okay, what does Badge do to get out of this? Quantum Cat comes out again. Statue of Anguish pattern. Localized Tornado. Monster Reborn. Bring back Obelisk. Cubic Ascension. Bring back another monster that cannot be killed by battle and then also just negates Obelisk. Soma the Spirit. Cubic Cat. Why does Obelisk go back to the graveyard if it's negated? Statue of Anguish pattern comes out. Just cannot be a Spirit Reaper. Smashing Ground, we've outed the Spirit Reaper. What is this last card? Surely it won't summon another one from the deck. Abyss Dweller comes out. Oh, is that Cubic Ascension to summon out another one from the deck? And our opponent has run out of cards. So the game is over. Why do people play? Why do people play these decks? Why is someone playing trap monsters with gods? And why is Baj playing Cubic? Is it just some people just really like to watch the world burn? Is that what it is? Four seeds? That's illegal. This is a real rank game. I'm gonna bring the Spice later. Gonna end the year as it started. Is that like? Are you talking about actual spice? Like actual Spice the Noodle Ninja? Legend, Ra's Disciple is a floodgate. With Crusadia, it never lasts longer than second or third turn. Didn't expect 41 turns. We need Quantum Dog next. I mean, it makes sense. In the Kachi Dragon, I used that one in my farm deck class. It's Morphtronic OTK, 41 turns. That was beautiful. No Quantum. No, don't get any ideas. I don't... Actually, it might be really, really funny one day to see Quantum enter a tournament with Cubics and somehow win. I think that would be really, really funny. Noodle is not the spice. Yeah, but it has spice in the deck. That's what we're not grasping here. This is the Yugi Boomers 1, also high. Some people like off-meta decks. The thing is, alright, Rogue and off-meta is fine. It's when decks are just like... stooly, I guess, is the word. That's when it gets a bit funky. Let me go ahead and grab our friend code. Not that one. Blah. We'll see if there's anyone we need to purge. Look, the Dr. Alex is dueling right now. 2 hours, 50 minutes. Oh, 2 days for Ace. Come on, man. How have you not logged in for 2 days? No dedication. Quaz is now dueling as well. Right, it doesn't look like we've got anyone we can really purge. If we need to purge someone, we'll purge Ace. I don't even know who this is. Instead, you took Buster Blader and won. You made good decisions. Sent. Buster Blader took out tier 1. Easy. You had exactly Thor. To be fair, I said this before Quantum went to Worlds. Quantum winning was going to be such a great underdog story, and it exactly was. It was an absolutely amazing time to watch Quantum win Worlds because he was the underdog going in my opinion, at the very least. And to me, that made it so much more exciting. So I'm actually really happy that Quantum won. All right, Daddy Bear. Let's check out Dwan versus Daddy Bear. During the KC Cup, Lulu Obsidian versus Sherry LeBlanc. So this is probably birds. This is going to be some sort of de fleur. I'm not sure what flavor of fleur we're on, because I'm pretty sure... Wait a minute. Shadow Weaving Power? That's not birds at all. That's Shadows. I'm pretty sure we've been seeing a decline in Infernobles. Oh, that emote is so good, by the way. So good. Right, El Shadow Fusion. I'm going to go into Construct. Construct Effect. Squamata Effect. Sending Wendy and Falco. Wendy and Falco. Bring back the Falco. Wendy's going to grab us a Hedgehog. Incarnation. Flip up Hedgehog. Grab Incarnation. We're linking. What do we make it, like Lingaribo? Oh, it's Gravity. Of course, it's Gravity Controller. El Shadow Fusion. Set 3 pass. Alright. Revolution de Fleur. Battery Man. Oh, we're playing Thunder Dragons. Okay. I'm in. Let's see what we got here. We summon out Construct. We'll get rid of the Solar. Beast Effect. Revolution de Fleur. We're going to get out the Sorcière. We're going into a 10, I think. Chevalier de Fleur. Well, that's not a 10. Thunder Dragonhawk. Blow Up Bulb. What are we going into? This is a 6. This is just going to be the... Oh, it's Charge Warrior. Okay, so we're in for the draw. Thunder Dragon Dark's effect. I'm going to grab Duo. We banish to summon out Levianeer. Pop both the back row. Then we summon out the Dragon Dark. No, we summon out the Dragon Duo even. Then we're making Ding because they're both 8s. Okay, what are we getting rid of here? We're going to spin. Falco. Falco's effect brings back Falco. Blow Up Bulb. Now we're going into a 7. What are we making it? Like Clear Wing? Oh, it's Black Rose. Oh, wait, and Ding protects us? Bro, that is such a cool little combo. I am sure, by the way, that a lot of people haven't seen, or a lot of people have seen that before. That is a combo I personally have not seen before. Like, I'm just that so far removed from, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sphere. Are you okay, Kim friend? Do we need to have a talk? Do I need to time you out? What's going on there, buddy? But I know there's little bits of conversation going on, but I unfortunately am going to have to call it there for the stream. We only got to play barely any actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Because we are a professional yapper. That's what we do. We just ramble. We just talk shit the entire time. Anyone that is interested should, however, enter Quantum's tournament. I'll post a link to it in the chat. Quantum Rush 35, apparently happening today. Very, very excited. It's one of the last tournaments we're going to have of this current format. So I kind of use this as a goodbye to the current format. We will be back again on Thursday, where we'll be playing in the Angel Cup. And just probably more yapping if we get chance at the end. We will be playing some more speed. We'll probably get like at least an hour of speed in on Thursday. And again, we're going to need those gems. So we'll be doing it on the main account, because that's just how it goes. Yapping is the best part of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Experience. But yeah, anyway. We'll be back again on Thursday. We're going to have a great time. We're going to play some games. We're going to lose at speed. We're going to lose at rush. We're going to win at speed. Hopefully. Maybe the other way around. We'll have to wait and see. And that will be our last stream before the release of Go Rush, which I'm very, very excited for. But thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.